Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination thrive. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy Sunday. First Sunday in August. Day 3 of the last really, truly hot month of the year. And boy, is it going to be hot here in Las Vegas. There's a couple of days we're going to average like 111. But it's okay because for the most part, the summer, since I've been here, the temperatures have been like, hellacious, like especially last year. This July was nothing, man. When I was in San Diego, I usually look at my phone. I'm like, phew, I'm glad I'm not there. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's in double digits. I'm in double digits, and it's there double digits. And I'm like, granted, San Diego is still 20 degrees cooler, but it's generally 30 to 35 degrees cooler when you're out on the ocean. So we are in August, and this is the Sunday night live stream, the weekend wrap-up edition. This is the stream where we don't have any specific topic. That is why there is no real thumbnail on most of these. I'm pretty sure there's stuff that we talked about throughout the week that we did not get enough time to, or something you guys want to elaborate on. And this is a show to do that. We can talk SummerSlam, but I'm not going to cover it from top to bottom. If you guys in the chat have a question or comment about any particular match, we can go over that. I thought the Cena Cody match was really good. It was better than the WrestleMania one, but the WrestleMania one was awful. The women's matches, the most entertaining matches of all of these pay-per-views the last maybe year and a half have been the women's matches of WWE. The AJ Styles Dominic Mysterio match. You know what? To me, I hold AJ Styles in a high regard, and I really don't like him doing the job to anybody like that. But you know what? Hey, I'd rather have him go right over to TNA and hold that title and be there for the last year of his WWE contract and what he's doing now. So, all right, looks like 20% of my chat, depending on how many is Australians. I see Droga, hello Droga, and I see my favorite Australian. Sorry, Droga. Where's Anthony Grigsby? If we had Anthony Grigsby, we'd have like 30% of you guys in there. How you doing? Also, as you guys we explained last night during the Saturday show, we are keeping that portal open. We have a horrible Friday coming up because we got Cable Guy. Not a bad movie. I have never seen what's the one? Happy Gilmore 2. So we're gonna see that for the very first time. Sounds brutal, but who knows? And then Perp chipped in and he wants to watch a movie called Hotel Paradise. I've seen part of it. I've seen some of the trailers and it looks awful. He is out to determine. He's determined to make me think that movie's going to be worse than Howard the Duck. Yeah, we'll give it a shot. The last day for us doing these non-science fiction type movies is going to be Friday. However, if you want to chip into the Help William Recover from San Diego Comic-Con really dumb decisions fund, you doesn't have to be an awful movie. If there's a really good movie you want to watch, I'd prefer to watch that. in some of these Drex that we've been watching. You want to throw in Blade Runner? You want to throw in Goodfellas? You want to throw in Godfather? You want to throw in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind? You can chip in. Those won't be as expensive as having me sit through and suffer through some of these wretched ones. So there's the link tied to the top of the chat. There you go. William, when it reintroduced the original Avengers, I think that's going to be a long way down the road, by the way. Do you want them to reform the Avengers, or do you just sprinkle them throughout? It all depends. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know whether they're going to reintroduce Captain America, Iron Man, players, or are they going to just basically go along with a new lineup? I don't know what their story is going to lead them to do. There's too much of the story that I can't really tell you. I mean, if they're going to do Captain America, Iron Man, all that, I still think they need to wait another 10 years, to be honest with you. But I do, to the latter half of your question, I do think the focus is going to be on Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and X-Men. Even if there are Avengers movies, they are going to be basically playgrounds for those IPs to grow. Antonio Baker and the Candlestick Maker. What's going on? Rational Skeptic. At the end of F4, we see Dr. Doom with Franklin. Do you think he wants to kill Franklin Richards? Franklin knowing so the Richards bloodline doesn't continue and lead to King? No, I think he wants to use his abilities in much in this. He knows, because he will have been through other timelines by now. He knows what Franklin Richards can do and what the power he has access to. And much like in the original Secret Wars, I think that I think he's going to try to steal Franklin Richards' power. Let's see. But yep, like, subscribe, share, donate, do whatever you want. Look at this here. Even though this show that usually happens on time. I think I would have gone in convulsions if you'd have been here right at the start. I would have been like, oh, fuck, I don't even know if I could start the show. Brad's here. What the fuck? What do we do?
What can I say?
All right. Peacemaker lost the title. What do you mean?
Oh, I think he's talking about.
Oh, John Cena. Yeah, John Cena. And you know what? That was a pretty good match for John Cena. That's like the best match I've seen from John Cena in like 10 years, to be honest with you. That might be the best match, because of the second match with The Rock in the same spot that he had the one tonight was a better match. But he hasn't been wrestling that much over the last 10 years. That one, the one at WrestleMania, was a really bad match. I think they were just going through the motions. This match was pretty good. It was, and I'm not a street fight match. I don't like I like the basic, bare bones wrestling. This match needed those aspects of it. Like when he comes up, Cody. For those of you who don't watched WWE, Cody Rhodes enters the ring through an elevator. He elevates and he's down on his knee, and he elevates and he plays a song and he gets up and they do the fireworks. John Cena used that elevator and he comes up through the elevator with Cody over his shoulders. And it was kind of a cool shot. So they, I thought, for the first time, the street fight elements actually added to a match, and I hate those matches, and I usually don't feel that way. So yeah, John Cena lost the title, and then Brock Lesnar came in. Wasn't expecting him to be there. Shouldn't have been expecting him to be there. Google Janelle Grant, and we'll leave it there. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say. It's hard to swerve me. But there's a reason why I had no reason to expect that motherfucker to be there. But he was. He comes in, circles the ring just like he did like 10 years ago with this feud. And he jumps in the ring, they go at each other, and then he delivers an F5 to John Cena. So, yeah. Sure. Like I said, it's hard to swerve me, but that's how you get me when you do some shit that you probably, because now you got to answer some questions, and some of those questions are kind of gross, and there's ongoing lawsuit, but there you go.
Yeah, poor choice of words too, with shit over and over.
That's an allegation. He says he wasn't there. So, but it's the fact that you have to even be in those allegations. It's not good. How you doing, the other Aussie in the crowd there? William, do you think Brock Lesnar is going to be the final match? No. for John Cena on his way out, or is it going to be Gunther so that he can make Gunther the Supreme him? I don't know who his last match is going to be, but if they're doing this in August, his last match is in December. I don't think this is going to be. This is not a 4-month feud. Brock Lesnar doesn't have those kind of feuds in him, and neither does John Cena. It's bedtime, y'all. We got work in the morning. All right. Well, hey, watch it on the replay. Oh, wow. Feels like I have to work. And I'm doing it in his voice. Thank you for being here, Bill. I almost hooked up with Phil at Comic-Con, but that chaos in this organization, we just...
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys were kind of two ships passing in the night this time, too, because he was down in L.A. and we come back.
Yeah, and I was I was headed over to Holly's to get into the line for the Friday. Yeah, that's the Friday stuff was actually the stuff I wanted to be in, so... Let's see. I thought it was good. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are like they were shocked to see him. A lot of people love Brock Lesnar. A lot of people are not diving into this lawsuit. He got a big pop, he got a big cheer, but at the same time, I didn't know if that was the best decision, but you know what? They're the ones having to deal with it and answer the questions. They don't do press coms anymore, so there you go.
Speaking of Cena, with him, it's nice because you mentioned he hasn't wrestled a lot in the last few. Because he's been doing like stuff like Peacemaker and Fast and Furious and like a lot like that. Like it, and you're probably like better qualified than I am to sort of answer that. But it's like I was thinking about that. Like, how does he, scheduling wise, like how does he manage that? I mean, because he's got like 2 full plates in front of him. I mean, he's got literally like 2 careers in front of him.
Well, one of them is easy. When he's doing wrestling, he's been doing that for 25 years. The acting is probably the harder one because he's not as accustomed to that. Wrestling, you can just it's easy to schedule.
What's not? Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's not a matter of like which one he's still kind of breaking in, but it's like I mean like there's literally only so many hours in the day. So.
Yeah, but when you are an expert at something, you can do that. You can fit that in anywhere. You can fit that in anywhere, and as long as the companies that you're working for are flexible, you can fit that in and still get a lot of rest in because especially now it gets harder with international flights and stuff like that. But because he's got some of those coming up. But when you're here domestically, there's a lot of ways to get the work rest cycle going because a lot of people they know you're doing double duty, so they make it easier for you. Antonio, he's not the only bad person in wrestling. There are plenty of them. It's just our fandom would rather choose who we like and who we don't. Oh, no. There's a lawsuit. There's a lot of bad people, but none of them are named in a lawsuit. And even though he's not the defendant, he's still named in the lawsuit. And basically, whenever you bring up anybody that's named in that lawsuit, that's why where the fuck is John Laurinaitis? Where's Johnny Ace? He disappeared. He played that victim, then he flipped, then he's gone. So anybody that's been involved, I mean, even Vince sticks his head out every now and then. Almost got killed in a car accident, by the way. Glad he's okay, but everybody that's been involved in this has gone away. We haven't seen Brock Lesnar in 2 years for a reason. So I don't really conflate him. There's a lot of shitheads in wrestling, of course. But when you're attached to a lawsuit like this that's still ongoing, that's a different level than the rest of the people. So, yeah. I can't believe they bought a shitty Brock Lesnar back. I'm going to blow in the WG's face on Vince Gates. Like I said, no comment. Just Google Janelle, whatever. You're going to have to pay some serious cash for that one, especially if it's Cinnamon 2. Cinnamon 2 is one of the nastiest movies ever made. I repeat. It is the sequel to one of the nastiest movies ever made. Human Centipede 2 goes above and beyond gross. And they make it graphic. There's no implied anything in Human Centipede 2. Whatever is going on, you see it.
Yeah, I've never seen the third one. I don't.
Third one is stupid. The
second one is an awesome. The third one currently is like in a prison. It has like 100 people
like
in
300. It was dumb. It was dumb. They were trying to outdo 2, and they just couldn't do it. 2 is something special, and like I said, we were the only venue in Las Vegas, only venue in the state of Nevada to screen Human Centipede 2. Only because nobody else would show it. And we showed that shit. That was when we had our deal with IS.
No pun intended.
And like I said, the entire movie is in black and white, except for one scene. And it's brown. So I'm going to leave it there for you. The entire movie is
There's
in
far
black and
there's
white.
far too much fecal talk on the show tonight.
Instead, yeah, we save for one scene, and it is one of the sickest, most perverse scenes in any movie or
Well,
horror or otherwise.
I would even say like that was the worst one for me. Is the worst one for me. I'm not even going to describe what it is, but it involves sandpaper. And I'll just leave that for those of you who haven't seen it. Just figure it
Oh
out.
yeah, fuck yeah. Nah, that was the whole thing was. And then the way he does things is he's trying to mimic Dr. Dieter from the original one, but he's not a doctor. It's a fucking movie, and he's just doing staple. I mean, it's just so nasty.
Well, because I mean, because basically, for those of you who haven't seen it, Human Centipede 2 is like it's an in-universe kind of thing where it's like, okay, so in this universe, this guy who's like a toll booth worker sees the Human Centipede movie and he decides, oh, that's cool. I'll like kidnap people and met my own Human Centipede, and it's of course he's got no medical background, and so it goes about
no anesthetics.
Yeah, he does kidnaps people, staples the
hits him over the head with a hammer.
Yeah,
and then when they're not when they're not doing the thing that he got excited about in the movie, let's just say
he's so sick.
He uses tactics to get what he desires.
Yeah. Well, and that I just remember too another horrifying scene. That it's again, I'm not going to describe it in detail, but it involves childbirth.
That one, I had people walking out of that scene.
I can't. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
I'm like, hold up. You sat through this part of this movie, this part of this movie, and this part of this movie, and that got you? You mean there were levels to this? This movie was completely disgusting from the opening credits all the way to the end. It was, like I said, but the one scene she sat through and it had no problem eating chocolate and candy. We had pudding on shelf because it was a joke.
What? Oh,
so we could buy. I had little pudding in it before the poop emoji was a thing. I had little plastic things, and we had a little thing and a little soft serve thing, and we had the little pudding, and we had people eating it. And I'm like, wait till this scene, you start eating it, and it was a gag. And I'm like, so you sat through that scene, which was visually worse than I can never describe to you, even if I tried, what this scene was. But that scene you walked out of, you lady, you should have been gone. But anyway, this movie
is the grossest thing you could ever possibly lay eyes on. Again, I've never seen the third one, and it's like, I'll just take your word for it. It's stupid, William. It's gross. And is it grosser than 2? I can't imagine.
What? Is what grosser than 2?
3.
No.
Yeah.
It tries to be, but it's not.
Yeah, I don't know how you could possibly top that for being revolting.
Well, he did that in AEW as well. Who did what in AEW as well? Well, no, I mean his mother-in-law is the department. Never mind, Department of Big. I can't even say that without laughing. Linda McMahon is the Secretary of Education, that's a joke. So, yeah, Triple H, that whole family, they're in the Trump pocket. So. All right, I'm trying to look what you guys are. What's going on in AEW?
Centipede 3 is I don't doubt it.
Yeah, it's not even good. I mean, not that part 2 was
not
like,
that either of them were like high art or anything, but
was like The Departed or anything. But 2 was just a gimmick for money. Yeah.
Well, because one left for its premise, it left so much to the imagination. They said, okay, but 2, let's take the gloves off and just show them everything.
Yeah, the last 10 years, yeah, like I said, that's what I was saying when we're talking about movie going and Man of Steel. The world's a different place now. So, all right, word to the wise on all ends: don't aggravate me tonight, guys. Don't aggravate me tonight. Now, I know saying that I'm probably gonna get aggravated in the chat.
Hey, that's good advice.
Last night was special. And like I said, you guys go, we're going to do open panels. And I'm like, we literally answered that shit right in the chat last show. It's like, it's hilarious. I know. No. Vince, no. I doubt. Not, especially not while there's lawsuits going on. And there's no place for him, to be honest with you. The company's changed. The company, TKO, is for better or for worse, I think. There's no place for him. Yeah, I guess he got paid a lot of money for that movie. Like I said, once again, people want to blame The Rock on shit. Under no circumstances with Triple H and Nick Khan, they run WWE. Period. The Rock is on the TKO board, but he is not in the chain of command of WWE, the programming like that. Nick Khan, Ari Emanuel, I think it's Ari Emanuel, and Triple H. They run that show in that order. If that fell apart, that's on them. I never blame middle management. I never blame a peon when something goes wrong. It's the boss. You're the bosses for the reasons, you know. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. He definitely switched. Yeah. I mean, it involves sex trafficking. If you're not the guy at the top, you need to flip. Yeah, Johnny Ace. That's why I first saw him decades ago as the dynamic dudes. Him and Shane. William, I really don't like Zazoff view all animation, and he thinks all of it is as nothing special to value or. All right, guys. Before I knew what a Zazoff was, if you watch this show before that merger even happened, what have I been saying for years now? That since I've been on YouTube, there's no money in it for them. There hasn't been any money in it for them for decades. Fanboys and fangirls are like, I can't believe you're doing this in animation. Yeah, okay, you pay for it then. It's not bringing in any money. It doesn't bring any money on TV. You know, I mean, it's unfortunate because I grew up with some of this stuff, but at the same time, especially now that you have different rights and different streaming revenue shares and all that, you want these guys to pay for things that are sitting on these services that they're not making any money off of, and then pay residuals to people. I mean, if it were making money, it would be around. These people are greedy fucks. If it was profitable, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So just because we on the outside can't comprehend profit and loss doesn't, because if it wasn't Zazoff, it should have been somebody else years ago. That should have been the only thing WB should ever be doing when it comes to animation for a while, at least for the next 3 or 4 years till they're back on their feet, is distribution and licensing. That's it. Let somebody else be the producers. Let somebody else risk the money. Let an Amazon that can take a financial hit just to get the traffic, let them do it. But when you're hemorrhaging money and you've been hemorrhaging money on cartoons for years, then you got it. You be a fool. What's the definition of insanity? I mean, come on. I can't blame him on that one. There's a lot of other stuff I can blame him on, but do they have hybrid animation movie come out next year? It's not going to be a test case. This is probably going to do the same thing. It depends on. They shouldn't be testing the case. That's the thing. They should be distributing it. So it ends up on their platforms on the secondary market, or if they want to do physical media, or they get their cut off the top. If they're the distributors, they can't lose money on it. So that's where they should be. They shouldn't be testing anything right now. Not when you're splitting up the company, remerging, dicing it up, cutting it, putting it under the hood, taking the hood off and doing all this, renaming it again. You're doing so much shit right now to try to make your company at least be perceived as profitable. Why are you going to jump into a money-losing venture that is Warner Brothers Animation? It just doesn't make any sense to me. They didn't get away with showing Human Centipede. That's how I did. That's how I sold out like 10 screenings. I made so much cash off that fucking movie. How did theaters get away with showing Human Centipedes or the second movie? They did not show. I was the only. In fact, all 3 Human Centipedes. I was the only one in the state of Nevada to air those movies, to screen those movies. If you want, Google 2010. That's when the first one came out, between 2010 and like 2000, whenever the window of movies. If you look at the viewings in Las Vegas of Human Centipede 2, and it's only going to be one place, and that's me. I was the only one that had the license to show it because nobody else wanted to. And when you see them, you know why. We went over that last night. I love it. They showed more of it today.
Yeah.
He got the mask on and everything. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting like we got like a very, very, very brief look at it at the end of No Way Home, but Yeah, I'm enjoying so far. There's a bit of a theory I've seen kind of circulating with it, the idea with like the raised webbing. Kind of the idea with that is that Tom Spider-Man, he kind of like took the design of the new suit. It was like inspired by Toby and Andrews when he meets them in No Way Home.
It makes sense. I mean, it makes. I don't know if that's the case, but it makes a lot of sense. A lot of people are bringing that up. I think it looks straight out of Steve Ditko's original design. That's just me, but I default go to the comic books. Yeah, he did the elevator entrance. Yeah, that's his interest. That's his interest. That's his trademark interest. But yeah, when John Cena came up with it, he came up through that same elevator with Cody over his shoulders. I thought that was a cool moment. 180 question, Wayne Powell. What are your thoughts on James Gunn's Superman movie break even budget, on how much James Gunn's Superman movie and run will be? Right now it's at 550, which is 50 million more than I thought it would be. I think
it'll end probably about, again, what I said, like 585, 590.
I'm thinking less. I'm thinking around 560 or so, because now we're going to start running into the same things that are going to hurt all the movies. And Naked Gun had a good opening, but that's not a great opening.
I'm still seeing like people some predictions out there going, oh, it's going to hit. It could hit as high as 680. It's like, you guys are out of your fucking minds.
It's just not. Well, once again, here's a problem that's going to run into. A, it's losing screens. B, it's running into the same thing that Fantastic Four is going to run into financially with back to school and less weekday business too. The problem with Fantastic Four is when it got released. And somebody brought up something else. Another show I was watching. I think it was Midnight Movie Talk. I watched him for a little bit. He's a character. He's fun to watch. Don't agree with a lot of the stuff he says, but he's fun to watch. He brought up a very good point. I want to give him credit there. The difference by the time you get, and this is something I didn't really think about because I thought it could be the reverse effect. Superman made its money. Fantastic Four made its money. The average moviegoer, we're not talking about the 3 or 4% that are doing the multiple watches, because most people can't afford to do that. The average family or household goes to the movie once a month. The average households go to the movie once a month, especially with the economy being today. Used to be a lot more. Guys like me, maybe guys like you who cover stuff like this, that we're not the average. But the average family attends the movie once a month. So the early bird got the worm there. If you're 1 month of July movie and you wanted to see them both and possibly intended to see them both, he brought up a good point. That's part of the reason. That I think there are other reasons too, but I think, be honest with you, I didn't think this before. If they had released that movie somewhere else, I think we're back to school wasn't an issue. I think it might have done a lot better. I also, and this is what I thought going into Fantastic Four. I'm sorry, as much as I love that movie, there's one thing I would have changed. Robert Downey Jr. has to be in that movie because that's him. At the end credit scenes where Dr. Doom is holding the baby, that has been confirmed by Matt Shackman that that's him.
Yeah, that was confirmed to be him. I just don't see him with the mask off.
Matt, I know you're watching. You have one of the most beloved figures in the Marvel Cinematic Universe on your set, making for this entire film deal more money than some small third world countries' gross domestic product. He's there. He's in the movie. Why the fuck is he only in the end credit scene? Because I was talking before. That's the one thing that really surprised me. If Robert Downey Jr. and you guys can gauge his popularity, I'm sorry, when it comes to the MCU, he's MCU Elvis. Him and then Chris Evans, and then you got Hemsworth to a much lesser degree, but he's still there. You had MCU Elvis on your set and in your movie, and you could have easily worked him into that plot, even with Galactus there, the same way I've been saying I thought it was going to work out eventually. They're going to do exactly what I thought they were going to do. They just didn't do it in that movie. But if the big mouths who can't keep their mouths shut, jumping out of that theater with their Herbie bucket and their Galactus bucket, you know that secret's going to stay away. Oh, don't spoil the movie. 5 minutes later, Robert Downey Jr. is in the movie. And he is in the movie. And why didn't you at least have him turn his... If it's him, I could see if it was just a stunt double or a crash test dummy with a hood or something. I understand. It's him. That's not a rumor the director said. That's the guy. That's him. Why didn't he turn around and that's Robert Downey Jr.? I don't know. I personally would have had him all over this movie because I think we're going to get to that anyway. Where his part in the story is going to happen the same way. It's just going to happen in other movies now. But you want to bring people into this Doomsday Secret War shit like at a hyperspeed and say, oh, this is the movie. No, don't be waiting. This is the movie. I don't understand that. Because I'm thinking it was a stunt double or something. I'm thinking it's not him. It's just obviously it's Dr. Doom, but it's the catering guy in the hat.
Just showing him from behind with the helmet on. To me, it's like there's no intrinsic reason why you need Robert Downey Jr. for that.
And did he get paid for that? Because that motherfucker charges a lot.
Oh, have you seen like the figures that come out? Like how much he's going to make from Doomsday? It's like, I mean, it's like he could. It's like he could probably like fund like the release of Batgirl single-handedly.
Batgirl's bad. If I am, if I'm sorry, you're in my movie and I got you sitting there, you're gonna show your face. But even still, just a cameo at the end credit scenes. I wouldn't have waited to an end credit scenes. I would have had him throughout the movie, and they have his empty seat, sitting there on the Future Foundation. I mean, that's like I said. I love this movie. This is damn near perfect comic book movie for me. But plot wise, given to where we're going, come on, man. I don't understand that. I understand it even less now that I know it was him. So yeah, I don't know where James Gunn's in Superman will be. But like I said, it's already surpassed what I thought it needed to do. Like it's a success. And like I said, if you want to call it a 2025 success, it is, given the circumstances. But like I said, the only thing I don't want to hear out of anybody's mouth is like these stupid memes. It is already surpassed Man of Steel. What about inflation? Well, I don't want to talk about that shit. Shut the fuck up.
What about? I'll just say worldwide total, and it's like, well,
that too,
I don't even need inflation. I don't even need inflation for that.
Inflation's a bigger deal. The inflation's the bigger deal because
but
it's an extra 38 cents per dollar. You can't just not talk about that.
I get that, but it's just like if you want to have, if you are going to engage in like this debate, it's like if you want a mic drop, there you go.
950 million in adjusted dollars is more than let's go 600 million. But we don't need to have that discussion because it's two different decades, two different eras. We are in a different world now with these comic book movies. And like I said, sorry, cinephiles, sorry, people who want to keep the life support to the theaters, because I'm one of them. The studios don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. All these guys, these pundits I've seen, some of my favorites that I listen to on a daily basis, that they know better. Listen, this is about money. This is about money. And the people who put the money on the table to get these things going, they want their money back. They want it back quicker, sooner than later. They've reached a compromise. The majority of your people on these movies are going to be front loaded. Well, Superman has legs. So, listen, the legs don't mean anything to Warner Brothers and HBO Max and whatever PVOD that they've changed the name so the innocent can be protected. But it's them. It's them. They want that lion's share of the money. They don't want to give up percentages to outsource percentages any longer than they have to. So I think, like I said, I think all of these movies. And guess what? The Spider-Man franchise is $1 billion franchise. When we ain't living in a broke global market. It depends on where the economy is when, next July. If the economy has improved, I don't see I don't see how this is going to happen, because once you globally shift like this, it's not like it's instant in return up. Everything's good again. We're back now. Once you decrease your market share in certain markets when selling and buying things like that, usually people make deals with other people. Years ago when we had these tariffs against China, between China and us, there was a $12 billion trade between us. The state of Iowa produced a lot of that soy. When Trump put tariffs on it during his first term, it killed that market. It decreased that market. China went to other people, and once he lifted those tariffs, it was already too late. We got some of that business back, but we ended up having to subsidize the farmers for what was cost. That's not going to happen again. So we may be in a worse financial situation. So we may be looking at a Spider-Man Brand New Day and be happy at 600-700 million. And not only that, but once again, Disney Plus. Actually, no, it's going to be Sony. You know, Sony's greedy. Man, they will have a streaming date for Spider-Man Brand New Day before Spider-Man is done filming. And if you think I'm crazy, remind yourself of how greedy Sony is. Sony will have that deal in stone. In fact, the deal's already in stone because I think they had a 6-movie deal. I think Brand New Day will be the 6th movie. So they've already got Brand New Day is already on its way to PVOD. They just got to establish the date. But it's not. These movies are not going to be in the theaters. I keep hearing people at the 90-day window. 90. Are you what? What alternate reality do we live in? Other than Christopher Nolan putting it in in his contract, nobody else is getting that. For every Christopher Nolan that can get that into his contract, no one else is getting that. Maybe Tom Cruise, maybe? I don't even think Spielberg's asked for stuff like that. So with the 90-day window, you're looking at 35. What's August 15th from how much? That's still 34 days? No, 35 days. 35 days is what Superman's going to be if it hits on the 15th. Movie came out on July 11th. It's going to be streaming. Fantastic Four, now that I know when Superman is streaming, guess what? Mid to late August, Fantastic Four First Steps is going to be on streaming. And the theaters are going to be A-okay, or the studios are going to be A-okay with that. They're going to have no problem. And we're also going to have to change, we're going to have to unthicken our skull the way we think about box office success. Not that fanboys ever knew what the fuck that meant anyway, but we're like we
Yeah, I think we're pros, guys.
we might need to add at least PVOD onto the box office total. And the reason I said it, just like I said last night, because that deal, that release date or PVOD was part of the green lighting of a lot of these movies. Some of these movies, if they can't have a safety net of the PVOD, they may not even get made, especially some of the smaller, some of the indies and things like that. They might not even get made unless there's an insurance policy there. So I think we might get to a term to where all right, we split up domestic, we split up all these other things. Where's the PVOD money? If those greedy bastards ever release it, because they hide that shit because that they're making a lot of money, PVOD. So, all right, Hunter, hi. Follow up my comment, pull up my first comment, send the link. Well, I'm not sending the link tonight, Chappie. Are you crazy? Did you not watch last night's show?
You want the Trinity to have all the same tone in turn how the movie is like you see with Superman, or do you want them to be different tones when it's hopeful in the middle? I think he's asking like individual characters should they have? Yeah, I'd say so.
No, I want each one to have. I don't know if I'm answering the question right. I want each one to have the tone appropriate for the creator that's directing it and the character. Like I don't, one of the bonuses of this universe is that I don't need to see anything cartoonish from Superman in Lanterns, and then when it comes to Wonder Woman, I don't have to see anything cartoonish from Creature Commandos. Whoever is doing the project, whoever is handling the Batman, I want to see whatever tone that they feel is appropriate. That's what I want to see. Same thing with Wonder Woman. Yeah, so it's with Wonder Woman, depending on how you're because you with Supergirl, you're not going to get a hopeful tone with Supergirl. And I think a lot of these people who force this hope and teary-eyed shit on everybody, they're going to have a problem with Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. or just Supergirl, whatever he's calling it now, because that is not a hopeful story. That is a brutal story. That is a somewhat depressing story. And if Tom King's anywhere near it, they're probably going to keep it close to what they did in the comics. So it's going to be interesting to see what it's going to be interesting to see how that is received. I tried watching Eyes of Wakanda. I couldn't. I haven't started it yet.
Oh, is that out yet? Is that already out?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I don't think the new Cat in the Hat was under his tenure, though. That was already at a release date. So.
Well, again, it's like it can't possibly be worse than the last Cat in the Hat. So.
And they didn't spend. I mean, you're talking about an animation thing that they spent $70 million off, and when you're looking at your books and you got shareholders and you're trying to explain to them, okay, how do you explain to the shareholders after losing money on animation for 2.5 decades that we spent $70 million on a movie that we're quite certain isn't going to make us anything back? How do you explain that? See, you got to take the fan out of you and put the business into you, and then ask that question. If it were your money, if it were your $70 million that your job was on the line for, would it be easy just to make fun of people and call them names because you're mad because you didn't get your little cartoon? Or, just take your household situation or something like that. If you're hemorrhaging, if you have something going on in your household that's hemorrhaging money, would you, and your neighbor saying you should keep that, are you just going to keep it just because your neighbor, thinks it's cool? And if your neighbor's not paying for it, it's you gotta understand the parameters there. They do, but they don't. DVD, physical media, when it comes to animation, it's just not. I don't think they can do the volume that they want to. Yeah, but we're not. We haven't been in the golden era of Cartoon Network in 15, 20 years. Dude, that's what I'm saying. Your memory of what these things are and your perception of what these things are aren't reality. Well, they changed the suit because this is a Spider-Man that is not attached to the Avengers. That's the main thing. That is a line of demarcation thing. This is a Spider-Man that this is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And that costume, and it's a costume he made on his own, that signifies that. Number is William, Fantastic Four's abysmal, 80% drop. What do you think to me? Nothing.
Well, to clarify real quick, it's 80% like Friday to Friday. Like
it ended up being 66.
Weekend to weekend, it was 66.
Yeah, nothing. See, here's the difference between us, me, Brad, you all, and the rest of the Geekverse. We're speculators. We can kind of like false panic and do all the other stuff and commiserate. This guy knows how to fly the plane. These people know where their money is coming from. Did they want more money? Of course, I want more money. Everybody, Brad probably wants more money right now. But in the long scheme of things, I think they understand where they are. And I don't think it means anything for the MCU going forward. You're going to see a lot of Fantastic Four. You're going to get a Fantastic Four sequel. And when you get that Fantastic Four sequel, it's going to be after Spider-Man, which is going to be the big, not the dinner bell that I'm talking about. That's going to be the fire alarm that lets you know, hey, get to the table. This is remember that prime rib you loved before? It's back, and it's back for a while now. So I think Spider-Man is going to be that one. And then after that, I think Doomsday. But Fantastic Four is going to be established throughout that. There's people that were asking me, I thought you said Fantastic Four was an age. Listen, just because you fucking knuckleheads can't comprehend that Fantastic with the importance of Fantastic Four doesn't mean Marvel doesn't. But what they also have to understand, though, and I think they understand where they're at too, is because you've had 5 years, especially the last couple of ones, you've gone from No Way Home to the Marvels in Love and Thunder. And Captain America, Brave New World wasn't the worst movie in the world, but it's been doing a lot of damage.
Is there forgettable? It's not very
Yeah,
reliable.
and when you go to the movies and you have a forgettable experience, it's really tough. And it's like I said, you've had these Z-listers in there, and now it looks like you have to retrain your audience on what an A-lister is. They're figuring, you know what? We knew what the original Avengers was back in 2008, but our audience was like, huh? So guess what happened? They bought you up to where we all needed to be as far as appreciation goes. And it'll be the same thing around right now. So I don't think Marvel panics. Now, if you were asking me this about Warner Brothers, any version of Warner Brothers from the last 10 or 13 years, you'd have a different conversation. But you're dealing with professionals, and professionals are not fans. They don't panic. I heard that was horrible, but
I have not seen it either. So I couldn't really tell you. It's interesting. I've seen the thumbnail for it on Amazon too, and I swear, like every time I see Ice Cube on there, my mind thinks that's Jordan Peele. He looks a lot like Jordan Peele in his with the beard and everything when he's got War of the Worlds.
Also, the only thing in the adjustment if I'm running the MCU that I would make whenever back to school is, we're not putting a movie there. We're just not putting a movie there. Because like I said, you're gonna on your third week, you're losing your weekend. A lot of these movies, see Superman, Jurassic Park, and everything that was released in July had the benefit of nobody being in school. So you had your box office augmented by the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, those kind of scores. As we get closer to school, not only are you losing that financial weight because it's going into school, and getting your kids ready, school, shoes, all that stuff. The kids are actually going to be in school as whatever legs that some of these movies would have. So you generally not, when we were kids, we didn't go to the movies on weekdays. And it's for most people, it's that now, unless we're sending them to a pre-screening. And even then, they got to know in advance. Most people will go to the movies on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you're going to lose that traffic and you're going to lose screens. But once again, we're talking about a movie that as we go on, you will refer to Fantastic Four. If you didn't see it, they're going to give you reasons to see Fantastic Four. Let's see. To turn it around. No, it doesn't. From a fan's point of view, you guys got to understand, we know what we know. Us trying to describe things from a perspective from a studio is like me, like I said, trying to operate NASA's station. How do you know what Marvel needs to be turned around? And where was it going? Like I said, we're still talking about a franchise that's still posting hundreds of millions. See, we can say silly shit for free. We can say silly shit on YouTube and on blogs for free because there's no consequences. Start thinking this stuff out, guys. First of all, it wasn't an 80% drop. See, that kind of shit, when not just for you, Brad, and who the fuck you are, by the way, with that name. You start pouring that stuff into the internet, and people who don't know their foot from their ass, 80% drop. Oh my God, the world is ending. And Kevin Feige's like, guess what? And the reason why they show you that Spider-Man stuff is to let you guys know that the game is bigger than our small brains. The roadmap is a lot longer than we seem to want to comprehend. Every time somebody says a Marvel movie does well, Marvel's so back. Every time a Marvel movie doesn't do with the imaginary number in their head, oh, it's over for Marvel. Get the fuck out of here with all that, please. You're going to get dizzy from chasing your tail. You're going to throw up from dizziness, and you're going to pass out. Marvel's going to be just fine. And if you're going to have these conversations, you cannot have them bereft of all the circumstances that are going to affect all of these movies going forward. Yeah, because he's making a lot of money. But you know what? Well, if you know you're going to put him in that movie, I'm sorry. That's got to be part of the deal. I don't think he's getting paid by the hour.
Well, and that's all right. Like, when the news came out that was him, and that it's kind of like, well, what's the point of if you're not going to show his face? Why have him there in the first
Why
place?
have him? You could have had me in there.
Yeah, that could have been me or one that you could put anybody in that suit if you're not showing the face of who's wearing the suit. Okay, then RDJ, it's like he's not necessary for that scene if you're not going to.
Or unless they cut it and he was supposed to turn around, and if so, why did you cut that?
Yeah.
Not only do I wanted him all over the movie. It made sense for him to be in the movie.
Imagine if that scene ended like if it played out like the way like the reveal at Comic-Con did, where it's like he stands up and he like takes off the hood and then pulls off the mask like
he did at Comic-Con. Right.
Yeah.
Dude, my ears are still ringing from that. I was in the room where that happened. Could you imagine if that would have happened? Hello, Susan. You know, I mean, and then you know, I like I said.
Or here's a good one. Here's a good one. He pulls off the hood, pulls off the mask, goes, "I am Dr. Doom."
How you doing, Daniel Martin? Or just turn around. Victor Von Doom should have been in that movie. He should have been in the movie. I enjoyed the movie. It's my second favorite comic book movie of the year after Thunderbolts. But that what? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. You think it's kind of like Marvel's equivalent to the no head Superman cameos?
No, one's poor management. One of them is just them thinking a lot longer than for me. You know, they know that they're going to get the pop from Robert Downey Jr. no matter what. I just think personally it would have helped that movie because I think he needed to be as part of the plot. If Franklin Richards is essential, they both wanted Franklin Richards. So why not have him in the movie? Why not have him in the movie? He's there. He's available to you. Why not have him in the movie?
Yeah. Again, if you're not going to show his face, what's the point of calling him up?
Are the studios not worrying about the traditional box office? Absolutely not. And they won't say it out loud. And people are trying to justify it. You get the fans on here. Wait a minute. They need the theaters. They're up to a point. Yeah, you're right. That first 2 weeks, they need them. After that, they do. And the theaters know that. The theaters got to know that the ink is already on the contracts for PVOD and everywhere else. All right, are the studios not worrying about the traditional box office as much as fans worry about it? And they know that the digital PVOD is going to make up what traditional box office doesn't? To a certain extent, yeah. Because like I said, the PVOD numbers, I know that they publish them, but I'm always skeptical about that because if they're publishing the true numbers, in my opinion, you're giving people who want to negotiate royalties and stuff a lot more leverage than they had before you did. That was the whole point of the strike, is that they didn't want to open their books, and those books are theirs. They don't have to. And your contract is on theatrical runs, the box office, the actual cinema itself. That has nothing to do with those contracts. That once they get on PVOD, there's a lot of closed and locked doors where that money's getting passed around. And trust me, those familiar faces and voices that you hear from the studio level, they look and sound a lot like the ones you hear at the PVOD level. So there you go. Yeah, but like I said, it's like the gravitational pull of the mediocrity is tough, and it's tougher than I even thought it was. Captain America, Brave New World, a lot of people just turned a lot of people off. But it's not just that, it's the lack of, you can't go this long without the type of A-list talent, the A-list characters that you brought you here. Because now you heard an A-lister. Or you may have heard an A-lister. I think you're going to be fine. Because now you basically have to, they're in the process right now of basically 2008. And to be honest with you, I think it won't take as long because the trust from 2008 to 2019 is already there. So I think that basically they're slightly at where they are at what they were at with Iron Man, but a lot more advantages because you know what the MCU can do. You got Spider-Man. Spider-Man's an old friend. You have the Avengers. Any Avengers movie, even if it doesn't make $1 billion, it's going to make a lot of money by 2025 standards before it gets yanked and put on PVOD 35 days later. So I don't what no Chappie, no, I don't.
Yeah, not doing no panel night, man. I mean, come on tomorrow. We're doing the Happy Gilmore watch party that William can't wait for.
That's not tomorrow. That's Friday.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, we're doing them all on Friday because the people who chipped in for those movies, their schedules are going to be weird.
Okay.
I don't want to do a movie with the people who chipped in.
Yeah. You don't want to do it because you don't want to watch it if you don't have. You wouldn't be watching otherwise. So.
Well, yeah, because me just watching it. What do you want to do? That's no fun for anybody. William and Brad, would you both agree at CinemaCon sickening? It promotes theaters as celebrated by studios. Well, I think CinemaCon's a lie. That's like somebody coming in and having a physical media convention and saying, "It's back, people. It's back. It's back to 2004 levels. Physical media is coming back. We're going to save physical media in front of a bunch of people who are still selling physical media." We know that's not the case. And we know if you just follow the money. Like I said, Zaslav came out here and said, we're backing theaters 100%. Zaslav's one of the main people that are signing off to these 35-day windows. They want their money. So I can't really, and you know what? It's not just him, it's the customer. This is convenient for the customer. It may that the convenience for the customer might end up screwing the cinema. But it's convenient for the customer, and that's who comes first. I hate we're gonna have a massive down. We might not. I mean, he'll have his mask on. I don't think we're going to have a mask.
They're not going to not show Robert Downey Jr.'s face.
Yeah, but he will have a mask on for a considerable amount of time. Okay. I'll tell you this way. He's got a mask on as Iron Man, so you'll probably have that same.
Yeah,
balance.
so they'll have like the it's interesting you say that because I remember reading an interview with I think it was like the lead up to Infinity War. Downey was asked like, what's the hardest part of playing Iron Man, where it's like the physically hardest part for him. And he said the hardest part for him is all the scenes that show his face inside of the helmet. Those because the camera I guess has to get up way close and it's just very constraining and it's kind of uncomfortable. So he said that was always the kind of the part he kind of enjoyed the least.
All right, let's see. Well, see, because they pull that shit with Iron Man and Dr. Doom. It's gonna be nah. I don't think so. I think they'll do a balanced. I think there'll be a happy medium there somewhere because obviously you want Robert Downey Jr.'s face to be prominent, but you also want Dr. Doom to be prominent. So I think they'll figure out a way.
Do you think maybe they might find like a way to like kind of split the difference where it's like okay, we'll like show Doom's backstory in a flashback where it's like it's all Downey without the helmet, and then he gets it melded to his face, and then from then on, it's just him with the helmet on.
It may be, but I think it's going to be intermittent. But like I said, I don't know the script. I don't know the story. That's a long time to have to guess. I think they're gonna find a way to give you Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, SummerSlam Night 2 wasn't bad at all. It had some really, really good matches in it. It was a solid. To say Night 1 kind of blew for me. Night 2 had the better show, and that's probably why it closed out. Like I said, I think he takes it on and takes it off. I think there's going to be things in that mask that helmet, just like Iron Man's helmet, that make it to where he can do that. But like I said, I'm just guessing because we're a year out.
I just feel like that would have been so cool if they like replicated like the onstage reveal, like that scene's like he stands up, cloak, mask, here I am.
It wasn't. It was 80% drop on
Friday.
Friday.
Friday 1 to Friday 2. The 66 weekend 1 to weekend 2.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's what I mean. See, once people put that out there, once Variety put that out there, but that was a truth that really without a context. It didn't really. Why would you put that number out?
Because an 80% drop sounds a lot worse than a 66% drop.
Yeah, they got their clicks. Don't know. Okay. I could say he's from the 828 one that we just saw in Fantastic Four, but I don't know if he was originally from that universe or did he arrive to that universe from another universe. So that's where I got to figure out, and I don't have enough information. And you know what, guys? I'm happy I don't. I'm happy to be swerved, even though not having Robert Downey Jr. in that movie is not the kind of swerve I want. But I'm happy to go to these movies.
And you had him, you didn't see him.
Yeah, he's in the fucking movie, dude. I don't get that. I don't know.
Like really, they could have gone so meta with that. It's like the Comic-Con thing, or they could have like taken like one of Tony Stark's like one-liners and like flipped it to be like that. Like what's it like with the good like Truth is I am Doctor Doom, or what's that like memorable
That would have been
one-liner,
cheesy.
or
That would have been cheesy.
what's like another one-liner he had, something like or maybe like they replicate like Iron Man with like the bombs like exploding in the mountains behind him and he puts his arms up.
But that would have been silly. He's in the living room. But the thing is Victor Von Doom is in that universe, so they know who he is. They know him. He has a seat at the United Nations. It's empty, so they let you know. And I'm like, okay, Robert Downey Jr. you paid the big money because he is going to be one of the most recognizable things that gets this universe to where you want it to be. You have a movie in Fantastic Four, an important movie leading up to all of this, and
God, I mean, just thinking about even not seeing his face. That one, like that 5-second like faceless mask cameo, it's like he probably made more off of that than like most people.
Well, they probably cut it up. He's getting paid a certain.
But even that, he probably just for that one part, like he could easily have made like probably like more than like most people making like 5 years off of just that. So it's like, why not show his face if you're going to do that?
Yeah, I don't understand, and I mean, I don't know. All right, like what John Cappy says, what makes the story interesting is that it's a possibility of Tony Stark from another universe that became Doctor Doom because they went to another room. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. There's no doubt around that, because obviously Tony Stark is not Doctor Doom in our universe, so something had to happen for that to happen. And there's a lot of things that there's a lot of explanations for it. They've covered them in the comics sometimes.
Oh,
and as we get close to Doomsday, we might even cover some of this.
Here's a good one from Daniel. How did WB get all this goodwill from the media all of a sudden? Is it just because of James Gunn? Every news outlet keeps saying it outgrips Man of Steel, but it's only domestic market and $20-13.
Go back because you read that too fast.
I think James Gunn. I think the goodwill. I think definitely that plays a part in it I have a lot of colleagues who are very, enamored with James Gunn's body of work, and a lot of media definitely, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say the media, the press, the entertainment press by and large likes James Gunn more than they do Zack Snyder.
I don't think that has anything to do with it, especially in 2025. I would think that back in 2017 maybe, but I don't think that's a major factor. It's the new thing. It's the newest version. It's the newest shiny toy under the tree. The newest shiny toy under the tree is always going to dominate the conversation. You're always going to give, it's that honeymoon. It's the honeymoon, it's the new thing. It's the new universe. It's this, part of it is the, wow, is this going to be a train wreck or the first steps on the moon? It's the new thing. It's the trendy thing. And it is what that is. Because to be honest with you, you wouldn't have been able to have that goodwill back in 2013, 2014, because even if it was James Gunn, you had a different environment that Man of Steel was released in that does not exist today. So I think it's mainly, I don't think it has anything to do as much with James Gunn because he's as divisive as any.
Well, and there's also, there's also the kind of like the redemption story or not like the redemption story, but like because 6 years ago we were talking about when you thought of James Gunn, you thought about he's the guy that got fired from Guardians of the Galaxy, and so like now to come that kind of like reversal of fortunes probably I think also plays into it.
That happened and unhappened so quickly that it didn't even get the kind of coverage that it would have gotten at a different time. As soon as he was fired. The time span back he was rehired was
no, that there was a stretch there. He was gone for a couple of months, wasn't he?
That's not a lot. That's not a lot of time to make that's not a lot of time to give you the benefit of the doubt with the media as a redemption story.
I'm gonna look this up.
There's really no redemption on his part. It was a stupid move on Bob Iger's part.
Okay, so he was fired. He was fired July 20th, 2018, and he was rehired in October. So it's gone.
That's not a lot of time. But the redemption, that's not a redemption story for him. The redemption would have been with Marvel made it was perceived that Marvel made a stupid move by firing him like that. So if the redemption, it would be on their part. The general public, like you said, didn't really, still don't really care about all that. I mean, we get our online trolls who, can't keep the P word out of their name, but I think it was, to me, I think it's the new shiny version of something. It's the curiosity factor, and I think they gave it the benefit of the doubt based on that. But you can't keep comparing it to when Man of Steel was released. These comparisons are not good because the world and the movie going and us as a fandom, we're not the same as we were then. So the comparisons really across the board to Man of Steel, other than they're both Superman movies, they're really, most of them are not valid. Most of the comparisons to Man of Steel and Superman 2029 are not valid. They're just there for talking points and clicks. That's really all they are. Because if you're being honest, there's no way you compare these two movies. There's no way you should be comparing these two movies on a business level, on a tone level, because the world in 2013, and I've seen this 1,000 times over, is not the world in 2025. So a lot of these comparisons die on the vine immediately when we start making them. So, but it's a new shiny toy, and that's my answer, Daniel Martin. All right, sex traffickers are roaming around this country. I don't.
I got to do with anything.
I'm trying to find out if he had a beginning port to that question. Okay, are we, hold on, did you begin something here?
Let me see.
Well, John Roca, and those are just two people though. John Roca and Kristen Harloff are just two streamers. They're not did they
not like Superman?
I don't think John Roca thought it was all right. Chris Claremont, they both gave it an okay rating. I don't know why.
Claremont didn't like it.
Dark version of Iron Man. All right, William, wouldn't have been better than RGJ announcing at Comic-Con that he's Dr. Doom? It should have been better revealed. No, fuck that. The only thing that they messed up with is not having him in all over this movie. Because that was the year they were getting on the plane to film Fantastic Four. So that means that Robert Downey Jr. got on that plane with all those guys to go film this movie because he's there. So no, they did the right thing by releasing it there.
Do you think they filmed his scene that day?
Pretty much. They probably
like that. It's like, okay. It's like I did the stage thing and did the scene. I'm done.
But the only thing I think that would have benefited them a lot would have had him all over the movie, introducing him as Dr. Doom as this main villain going forward. A Fantastic Four villain being introduced in a Fantastic. Galactus could have been part of it in the same way that I already explained. But they chose a different route, and I think they left some money on the table.
Aaron says, I joined the second post-credit scene in Fantastic Four. So, oh, yeah, it's not really like a post-credit scene, but it's an in-universe kind of animated series of them. It's cute and adorable, reminding you of the 90s Fantastic. Yeah, I thought that too. Again, and I even asked like the guy as I was leaving the theater, it's like, is there, because it was after the Doom.
That was just it's a feel good moment.
And I asked him, like, is there anything further? He said, yeah, there is, but it's like you're not missing like plot points if you
brought your kids to it, they probably loved it more than you did. If I had, this is the easiest question that I'll have today. William, if you had to choose a Marvel character or a villain or a hero for Will Smith to play, who would it be in the MCU? Kang.
You're gonna have to take Jonathan Major's place.
Yeah, because he's not coming back to that role. Kang. Mm-hmm. And number two, to be honest with you, and I know people are gonna flip their shit when I say this, because I have a number two because I've thought of this question before. Apocalypse.
I got a number three. You know who number three? Who it is? You know who it is? You know who they could be? How about Blade?
I mean, he could play him, but why waste him on that?
I don't know though, because
if I'm going to use Will Smith, because they're both Academy Award winners. Mahershala Ali's got two, but he's won them for movies that he's not an alpha like Will Smith.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have an alpha draw, I want him playing an alpha character. I would love to see him as Apocalypse. I think he could pull it off. That's a nice question, though. You keep bringing up Cat in the Hat, Chappie, and this is why we're not doing that.
And that. Sorry, that Mike Myers movie is horrible. This one that's coming up. It's coming out this year, or is it coming out next year?
You are asking the absolute raw mofo on that one.
I'm asking Cappy because
that's the chat.
Because either way, it's like you got nowhere to go but up with that.
Yeah.
The first one is god awful. It's one of the worst things ever put to film. No, I hate that movie. It's like, and this next one's like, I'm not losing sleep with excitement over it, but it's like, I'll give it a look, and it's like it can't possibly be
I'm
worse.
not even doing that. You're going further than I ever would with that. There's no way.
Number says, what about? You think he might be a good successor of T'Challa?
I think they already got somebody, but yeah, he would be. I mean, you're getting. He's he's in his 50s. I think that they would want to get somebody that they can have for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
And Will Smith is black don't crack, but you
Well, I mean, obviously they wanted that with Chad, with Boseman too, and because he was what,
he was 40, he was 41, 42.
Yeah, and he did not look it, and he also didn't look like he was ill at all.
Yeah,
I mean, like everything other than like his Civil War role, during his tenure as Black Panther, everything Chadwick Boseman did, everything he filmed was done after his colon cancer diagnosis. So like, when you see Black Panther, you see Infinity War, you see him in Endgame. When you see Black Panther in those movies, the man you're looking at that point has colon cancer.
Antonio, I'm not for this. I mean, if the best actor for the role is from the continent, then hire him. But if a guy from Brooklyn can play him, an American, if a guy from Britain, which is fucking Jonathan Boyega, and all these brothers are from England, I'm like, when I first hear them talk, I'm like, oh man, what? Okay, that's cool. But no, you pick the best actor. It doesn't have to be. That's why when people are like, they ended up getting a Jewish actor to play the Thing. But I remember talking, I think it was RJ. It was like, they really need to be. I'm like, no, they don't. They need to get the best actor. You get the best actor and if the best actor for the job it happens to be a Jewish actor, you can do it. Now it's different, obviously, when you're talking certain roles you cannot do. Obviously, Tom Hanks can't play T'Challa. I mean, it's just you see what I mean. There's certain limitations, but as far as
he's America's dad,
but he's not Wakanda's dad. So you would have there are certain limitations, but as far as like that goes, if you can pass for something, like I said, Al Pacino is not from Havana. James Caan is not a Sicilian, but he played one expertly in Godfather. You have plenty of people from different types of nationalities they're actors. They're literally getting paid to do.
It's interesting you mentioned Tom Hanks too, because I remember
that was just a joke. Don't.
I was actually talking a while back with Ashley about it, and she, I think it was actually around like 14, 15, something like that, where Tom Hanks was being interviewed. It's like the interview asked him like, "What's your like biggest like career aspiration, or what's like the thing that you would like to do that you haven't got the chance to do?" He says he wants to do a superhero movie. He just never gets asked. And I remember mentioning at the time, it's like, I mean, I really liked Kevin Costner, but it's like I could have seen Tom Hanks. I think he could have been a pretty legit Jonathan Kent. I could really envision him as Jonathan Kent.
Yeah, I could.
I could also probably see him as Jor-El too. I could envision him as either one of Superman's fathers.
What are your thoughts on this, William? I've been thinking about possible DC characters that Henry can play on between Green Arrow or Captain Atom. You could play those characters. I would probably, if I'm going to use, for me, if depending on what story that they bought in, if they were end up doing a Fourth World story, I would like to see. I could see him playing Orion. I think he would be cool as far as that goes.
Well, actually, since we're talking about this, do you want me to bring up those things I mentioned earlier that I DM'd you?
Sure.
Okay, because this is something I kind of messaged William about like a week or two ago, and we just never got around to talking about it on the show. And this, might play someone into that. Okay. Look, before I do that, Chappie, no, okay, dude, fine. It's like that's your cup of tea, which you can have. It's not mine. I'm sorry. It's like no, you're not gonna like win me over to the fandom of Cat in the Hat.
I can be bought, but you know what you need to do.
No, that movie is offensively horrible. As Ray has said, it's mean spirited. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's god awful.
Yeah, doing her chirpy voice.
It is. I mean, it should have done like Howard the Duck and ended like careers and put people in witness protection. So I don't know how it didn't do that, but no. it's
I
sorry.
don't know, but when it comes to what Hat Cavill could play, um, he's a good enough actor at this point. He could probably play a lot of different roles, but I don't really have much of a preference. I mean, the Batman thing is interesting. You know?
Yeah, I've seen it, but let me go ahead and pull this up.
I could see it because he's the right age for the Batman that's being portrayed.
So, the idea on this is this is in the lead up to Peacemaker coming up, and this is I talked with William about this a few weeks ago. We just never got around to talking about the show.
I was kind of stalling. Because of the simple fact that.
Did you want to see the Peacemaker trailer at Comic-Con come out first?
Well, no, I want to see the Peacemaker for episode 1 because a lot of this stuff is going to have context. Like I say, he says 100 different, universes. To me, without context, that's just setting up. That's giving himself space for to tell any story he wants to tell without messing with the integrity of his core universe.
Well, and so there's another thing about that. I'll get that in a minute. But so when discussing Peacemaker season 2, James Gunn says that the DCU includes, quote, vague memories of things that happened in the DCEU. This encompasses David Ayer's 2016 Suicide Squad, and the quote is, "Nothing for the DCEU is canon in the DCU before Creature Commandos, but you can think of those other things as vague memories of things that happened going back even to the first Suicide Squad." Now, there's, again, 50
that's a bunch of gobbledygook that I don't understand.
There's 57 different ways you can interpret that, and I guess we'll get a better idea about it once we see Peacemaker and this other element of it that I'm going to bring up here, and William kind of alluded to, and it's somewhat kind of explored in the trailer that came out. So some details on Peacemaker season 2.
Well, you love Culture Crave. You bring up more from Culture Crave than anybody.
I just saw this from them. It's okay, this breaks it down.
He works.
Anyway, William mentioned this. We talked about this, and I said, "Oh yeah, this is intriguing. Definitely for us and for a lot of people." Establishes there are at least 100 universes in the DCU now. So we get a little bit of a glimpse at that, the door, the one doorway that opens, so you have the giant skull spiders and all kinds of shit like that, and even even within the trailers I'll talk about, it's hey, I came from one dimension here that's it sucks for me over there, and this one's better. So I mean, the show is definitely going to be very multiverse centric. And now one thing also I'm finding kind of interesting with this is that apparently it's come out that because I'm trying to get us the screeners for Peacemaker season 2, but if I'm not going to be able to get us all of them apparently, because what has come out is that he is not going to be releasing screeners of the last 3 episodes of season 2, because the quote is that there's just all tons of craziness happens in there. So whatever happens in season 2 in the last 3 episodes, they I guess want to keep that all down under wraps until they're apps they're released for the whole world to see. So, William, with those last 3 episodes being kept under wraps, do you want to place any bets on your theory about Ezra Miller's Flash popping up in those?
I still think it's a decent bet. I mean, like I said, I think it's still a long shot. I wouldn't place bets on it, but the more I hear about this, the less crazy it sounds. Listen, this guy's crazy, and crazy isn't good in a good way. He thinks outside of the traditional box, which kind of it keeps you off your footing, which is where I like to be. I don't like guessing this shit. If I'm able to guess it and I'm a bonehead, I'm like, dude, you're writing this stuff. I mean, you should be, So listen, I think it it makes my scenario sound. All you people that laughed at me, dude, you're laughing at that. He's probably going to do some stranger shit even than that, even if it's not what I think he's going to be doing. So
yeah, and I actually had one go up on Fortress the other day that kind of gets into some of this. I'll go ahead and put in the chat for you guys.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
And Fourth could be 100% right here too. It could be all smoke and mirrors.
Well, that was my, it was Jared, my boss at Fortress, wrote the first one. We kind of broke down with it, and then so I wrote kind of my own take on it. And yes, it's related to the guy whose last name starts with S. But
I mean, dude, you unless you're, and this goes for anybody anywhere by the chance, unless you're James Gunn, or the people involved in it, you can't. There's nothing that's saying that these last 3 episodes could have some crazy bullshit. And fucking Zack Snyder could be in it.
But
They
him
could have filmed that
playing,
at the
playing
damn Rick and
himself.
Morty. It's Zack Snyder, it's Rick and Morty, and it's James Gunn and Henry Cavill. You think that sounds crazy? I just mentioned some shit. 2 of those 3 things have already fucking happened. So you no one here is qualified to say this statement.
Well,
no one.
And see, that kind of goes back to
that
what I said really right after Superman came out, where it feels, in having seen that now and then, hearing like a little bit of like the roadmap with Peacemaker season 2, even though Superman has like pocket universe element to it, it doesn't have like the Flash, Chrono Bowl sequence. It doesn't have like, oh, I'm gonna appear in this doorway and like here's Clooney or here's Brandon Routh or all that. It just establishes their alternate realities. But other than that, it's like it functions primarily as a Superman movie. And I'm getting the impression with this, it's like with the show, it's like the Superman movie like kind of establishes the character and the world he lives in. And Peacemaker season 2, that's probably, I think, it's going to introduce like 100 different coexisting realities. This is where we're probably going to see like how a lot of the nuts and bolts of like how this whole enterprise is going to start unfolding.
Yeah,
it's kind of my reading of it.
And like I said, it just gives him an opening to do bigger things that don't corrupt his universe if he doesn't want them to. Like if this Constantine movie ever happens, it's going to happen in one of these 100 universes. The Batman is already one of these other universes. If he wants to do a Kingdom Come, if he wants to do a Legion of Superheroes that's not directly connected to his core universe, if he wants to do an alternate future, that's it. It just sets the stage for him.
And that's the other question I'd ask is like, what if Peacemaker peers through one of those doorways and we see Darkseid?
It all depends on what kind of Darkseid it is. Is it his Darkseid that he's created and he's casted, or is it the one we know? That's how you answer that question. No, I'm not gonna bet. No, there's no. I don't have any knowledge. Neither do you. None of us have any knowledge. We're guessing, and we're having fun guessing, but we're guessing. There's nothing here saying anything of this is going to happen.
Like one thing I say in that feature I linked to.
Is that a trouble starting feature?
I'll go ahead. Well, it is if you're like somebody who stalks my page and screenshots everything I write, but
you got a lot of people stalking your pages.
Yeah, well, they're not playing with a full deck. But like one thing I say in the, I'll just read this off. This is from the second section. You want me to pull it up or should I just read it?
Just read it.
Okay. So this is the second section. It's titled Superman and Peacemaker Season 2's Pocket Universe immediately introduces the multiverse as a major component of the DCU and DC Studios. With some 100 alternate realities to play with under the DC umbrella, it probably isn't a big stretch to presume that any DC movie or TV property featured in the 2019-2020 crossover miniseries Crisis on Infinite Earths is most likely included under that vast roof. However, between the Arrowverse, DC streaming shows like Titans, Doom Patrol, and Swamp Thing, the Christopher Reeve / Brandon Routh Superman movies, the Michael Keaton Batman movies, and the DCEU, it doesn't even come close to reaching a total of 100 alternate DC universes. Even adding in Matt Reeves' Batman universe, Todd Phillips' admittedly most likely two-and-done Joker universe, the new DCU, and other DC properties like Keanu Reeves' Constantine movie and the 80s Swamp Thing films still brings the total to well under 24. Theoretically, Gunn might also be including the various animated DC movies and TV shows in the established DC multiverse, but even that probably wouldn't bring the total to 100. By establishing a minimum of 100 alternate Elseworld realities in the DC multiverse, Gunn is quite clearly giving himself a lot of DC material to dive into, utilize, revisit, and conclude. So yeah, that's just and then I go into like what that might mean and other things like that in that piece. But that's again. The number, the fact that he's going with, okay, there's a minimum of 100, coexisting realities, coexisting, DC universes that are going to be, established or alluded to in this. That tells me, okay, it's like he clearly wants like the scope of like all of this to be pretty vast, and it's like, and that's again, that's even bigger than like what we saw in Crisis, what we saw in the Flash, where it's like we saw, we saw like. What it tallies up to is probably like 24, at the most, but this is going like well beyond that. So,
but he could also never feature any of those, and then come up with a bunch of ones himself too. So
I'm not saying
prepared for that.
Well, I'm not saying it's like he was going to has like a tally of like, okay, now I got to get to like what's going on in DC Earth 37 and DC Earth 76, but just the again that wide of a scope does grant a lot of freedom. That grants
exactly what I was saying. He basically lays the groundwork for him to do a lot of diverse things with a lot of diverse people that may or may not want to be part of a core universe because they don't want to have that part of the story dictated to them. And this allows an opening to do a lot of different things, and it also allows them to go a lot of different places too over the course of the year. Because, like I said, maybe there's some people who might get turned off about the DCU, but still want to go see DC movies. You take their money through any means you can. So it leaves a lot of openings. But like I said, he's a very unpredictable individual. So just to I wouldn't there's a good chance we never see.
Word salad was I?
Yeah. Wow, she just ripped you. Wow, the kangaroo. The kangaroo just reared back on her tail and used both of her kangaroo feet to jam your ass right
would
in
never
the balls.
do that to her big brother.
That's beautiful. That was beautiful. Where's that meme where the kangaroos? The person petting the kangaroo, and the kangaroo's like, "Fuck this, I've had enough," and just bounces. That's you right now. But no, I think it. I think it. To be honest with you, it makes this whole thing interesting, and it keeps everything on the table. There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing that ever happened. If you want to do it this way, there's a possibility that nothing that's ever happened in DC in 70, 80 years is off the table. You could have an alternate universe that literally is just the comic books. You could do anything you want it here, and when you have a crazy man,
that's basically Superboy Prime, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. If you have a crazy man at the helm and you've given him this tool, you should expect anything, and I think we might get some interesting stuff. You just sent me a question, Hunter Iggy. Where are we at here?
Numbers. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold that thought. Now I got to bring this up before I forget it. Let's get Shaq. That's. I don't see that one
as a gimmick for like a cameo. He'd do it.
Yeah, but not like let's make Steel 2 or
no, we're just as a cameo. As a cameo, that's about it. Oh, that movie was bad. Question William Powell. Here my what if Peacemaker season 2 if Zack Snyder versus Cash changed costume when they walk through the door. I mean, that'd be hilarious. I did like I said, a scene with Ezra Miller, Rick and Morty, Zack Snyder, and James Gunn all in human form. So you get to see Rick and Morty in human form. And then they go to a cartoon verse. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can see there. And there's a lot to have fun with. No, he had reviews. He had reviews on the season. I think it'd be comedic effect. I think if he uses it, it'll be comedic effect. But I think if he sets it up, other people can come use it and they can use it for their own effect.
Okay, Aaron's clarifying here. Noah saying word salad in what was being written down on screen. Oh,
you don't have to put. You don't have to.
Yeah, so you see,
you were right the first time.
Again, sis.
You were right the first time. He's not your brother. It's creepy. And you finally just, it sounds like you're not even part of his cult anymore, the one person cult.
It's like blood thicker than water.
Wasn't Shaq a new CEO of DC, or wasn't that? That was a joke.
Yeah. Are you talking about that one commercial they did with Gunn and Shaq? And
hold on, let's see. Right. If he does Ezra Miller and Snyder, I think it'll only just be an isolated cameo. I think that's
Well, I think. Well, you speculated, and I've kind of concurred with you. It's like I think that he might this either a Peacemaker, or like if Ezra were to appear, it either in Peacemaker or elsewhere, like he might pay off like the Ezra meeting Grant scene.
He might be, these universes might be collapsing. Peacemaker, our Peacemaker, the one we know, might kill the Peacemaker in the universe where he's a hero. And then the only way to make things right is to merge both of those universes together. And then there's your canon and your not canon. There's so many ways. I would hurt my head trying to figure out. Like I said, never try to guess what crazy people are going to do next. That's just, and he's crazy. But then I mean that, Hi, Rhea. What's going on? Glimmering Harpy. How are you doing?
Hello, Rhea.
My fellow night owl.
Chappie, under no circumstances do I want to see that horrible movie in 4K.
If you donate, hey, Chappie, listen. Brad doesn't have to be around for it. Brad can skip that.
Good, because Brad would not be around for.
Because all he's going to do is whine, and even though his suffering is what people pay to see.
You were like,
I'll suffer.
We got halfway through that movie. You were with me. It's like, this is terrible. And
there you go, Chappie.
Rhea took the gloves off. Like Rhea is like, it's like.
I know she did it with. I thought it was mean spirited when she said it in that little voice.
You know how hard it is to get Rhea to be, to speak ill of like anybody.
I don't know. When she was in the chat a couple weeks ago, that one where we had to bring her in to make sure that it was Rhea. Knives Out Rhea is pretty vicious, man. Don't fuck around with her. At least we know. He hates a lot of movies. And he likes a bunch of movies that nobody knows.
Yeah, that makes me awesome. So you have to be odd to be number one.
Yeah.
William here is only one Drakes per multiverse. So Gunn kind of has to use port. Oh no, I think he is one dark side. It's not one dark side per universe. It's the new gods exist.
Yeah, anybody in the fourth world exists outside of the.
So there are different versions. There's different versions like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. But the new gods on either New Genesis or Apocalypse in DC, they exist outside the multiverse. So there's not doppelgangers of them throughout each reality. There's only one of each of them.
I mean, this is a possibility too, Forth. I think OG Peacemaker will return to his universe, but inspire the DCU Peacemaker to continue. There's a lot. There's so many possibilities. And the fact that they're not going to let you see those last 3 episodes is kind of cool. That means we'll all be surprised. And like I said, then there's no leaks.
Yeah, so if I get the screeners, it's like I'm only going to know what happens up to a point. Same William. No, we're not doing Overwatch.
This is my response. This is my response to all your silly shit, Chappie. If you want me to suffer these movies, this is my response.
This is why Spidey calls it. We should call this Watch Party Chappie Flicks.
Yeah. Oh, you have another one with a good movie? Okay. Well, then let's shoot that one up there.
Tom Hanks also expressed interest in portraying a villain from the Batman franchise. I believe the Racist Ratcatcher. But what Batman villain do you think?
Tom Hanks?
I could see him as Harvey Dent, I think.
I could see him as Ra's al Ghul under the right makeup. Whoever plays Ra's al Ghul, I want it to be a top tier level actor. The only other person I want him to see, I want to see Dave Bautista give that one a shot. I want his roles to be thinking man roles from this point on, and not meatheads anymore. No more meathead roles. He's getting better as an actor with every time he steps in front of the camera. He is a better actor, and who knows how long he's going to be doing this. Brad does the he in real life. I don't know if what is that doing?
You're talking about That's How I Laugh.
Yeah. Oh, like Michael Jackson. Okay.
The only reason I see Gunn casting a different dark side is to avoid Snyderverse baggage.
Once again, that's fan bullshit. All right, that's the kind of fan bullshit that fans drag around, and mostly online fans. When you're a creator, when you're a studio head, and you want to do something, you're not letting that stop you. James Gunn, sure as fuck, is not going to let that stop him. He doesn't care. He has demonstrated to you that he doesn't care about that type of thing. If he thinks it works, he's going to do it. That's the one thing. And it may not all work. Some of the stuff he did in Superman, I wasn't the biggest fan of. But if he believes that it's going to make his story go, he's not gonna let the baggage stop him. That baggage is for fans. That baggage is for us because we're on the internet and we have no consequences to the kind of stuff we stir up. But when you're a creative, when you're a writer, if the story works, the story works. So no, I don't think that would be an issue at all. If he did want to use if he doesn't want to use a dark side, it would be because he wants to brand the fourth world as his own. Then he can do that. But I don't think the fan bullshit is going to be what stops him though.
Dead Fair. He actually did I think on Brave and the Bold, or like one of the animated shows. He did actually voice our Ra's al Ghul. So it's like I could definitely see him as a Ra's al Ghul.
Okay, what? No, stop. Repeat what you just said and see if the nonsense doesn't blow the wheels off of that.
Dead Fair would be a great Ra's al Ghul.
Why? Because you saw him where? You saw him where?
What's that? No, because I saw him in The Mummy. That's what
He voiced a character in a cartoon, so that makes him qualified to act.
I didn't say
the
that makes it
character.
qualify. I'm just saying it's like, oh, that's interesting because he previously played the character.
No,
I
he
didn't
did
say,
not.
I
He
did not say
voiced
that's
the
like
character.
the
He did
deciding
not
factor.
play anything. He voiced the character.
Voice
He did not play
actors are
anything.
actors.
They are actors, but when you start transitioning into movies, that don't always work.
Well, I mean, I'll tell that to Peter Cullen. He's been voicing Optimus Prime for like 40 years.
But you're talking about a signature voice that never playing a human role. You're talking about a fucking robot.
I just
It's
said
not
it
the
was
same
interesting
thing.
trivia. It's like oh, he
hell,
voiced him. It's like I didn't say it's like the deciding factor.
I don't know how long is Ben Kingsley still acting.
It's funny you should say that, Dor, because that was actually I got a kick out of that in Shang-Chi when how they handled his less than beloved version of the Mandarin from Iron Man 3.
Fucking horror. You took an Academy Award winner and you did that with him in an otherwise good movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's like since they decided like totally just they dropped the ball on the Mandarin and I knew, by the way, it's like in the finale of Iron Man 3 when Guy Pearce has his shirt off, he's got those dragon tattoos and he's glowing orange. Like, oh yeah. What do you think this means? And sure enough, he says, "I am the Mandarin." Yep. Saw that coming, but
no, Bane is no, and I saw somebody point Bane, Dave Bautista is not a meathead anymore. As far as some of the early roles he played, this would be a meathead role.
You know who thinks Bautista would be a great Bane? Batista.
That's fine, and that's why Bautista is an actor and not a casting director. I'm glad we have those separations. Why do I hate Bane much? The storyline he came in with was like I said, we've discussed this. You had an era, and you guys had to be there. You couldn't be a kid during this era. You couldn't be not alive in this era to understand how I feel about this. You actually had to be there in the market watching these storylines and how basically unoriginal they ended up being. We have characters like Batman, we have characters like Superman, we have characters like Spider-Man, we have all these characters that have decades. They have rogues galleries that are as old as your grandparents in certain cases, but because we need the media headline in 2-3 different cases, we made up some bullshit character and just gave him all this all powerful
the one who defeats the hero. And that's
you already had, like I said, I repeat, you can't be looking at this from revisionist history to understand what I'm saying. Brad can't give you the perspective I can give you. You just can't. He was what, 8? What were you, 8? 9?
Bane came around, I was probably about 5 or 6.
Okay, so we're done with Brad on this particular point of view. But same thing with Superman. Same thing with a lot of these characters. These characters weren't created, in my opinion, to give breath to the story because we already had those characters to do that with. And Bane was, like I said, well, everything we needed to hurt Batman, we just put into this character instead of actually writing the characters that have been around forever that could already do this. Now, Bane in the Absolute Universe, that's how you handle that kind of character if you're going to bring him in. What Scott Snyder and they have done, and I told him this when I got a chance to talk to him and meet him, because there's a huge difference. You go read Nightfall and you go read what's happening in Absolute Batman. That's how you handle that character. That's the word you give to that character. And even then, that character is not going to be able to do the number on Batman that he did. So no, it just never liked the storyline, just like the death of Superman. For those of you who, like I said, were either not born or were too young to understand what those storylines did to the market and did for comic books or to comic books, you'll never understand. It's like me trying to explain to you, you know what, fucking Prometheus gave fire to to humans, and he wasn't supposed to, type of situation. You had to be there to understand what was happening. And when we were at Comic-Con, I was talking to some dealers because we were going through their boxes, and my God, Comic-Con is a place where the most expensive comic, if you're going to pay through the nose for a comic book, it's going to be at Comic-Con. I went into this guy's box and was just flipping, and I think I got a picture of it on the Google Drive. just flipping and flipping and flipping. Superman 75, Superman 75, Superman 75, Superman 75, dirt cheap. That comic has been out for over 30 years. It has no real value. The white one that I have hanging on my wall that I show you guys all the time, he had a stack of those that he had a display sitting on. That was their only value. So if you weren't there when these stories and stuff were coming out, I can't hear you. If you have a different feeling about them after you read them, after they're dead and buried, and you came out of the chute as a little kid, that's fine. That's your perspective. But when you're asking me why I don't like these kind of characters, I didn't like that era. The 90s, what happened in the 90s, you can Google that too if you can't understand what I'm saying. That didn't happen by accident. There's a lot of shit like that bloated up the market, and the market collapsed. It's like the tech bubble. Did. It's just imagine what we went through in the late 2000s. For those of you who were too young to understand what was going on in comics in the 90s, some of you were around. Some of you were in your 40s and 50s in the chat. But yeah, that's why. You can be like a fucking 35-year-old and look back, oh, it's such a great story. Sure. I look back at a lot of shitty movies that I wasn't alive for, and my parents saw them and said that movie was garbage, and I like it because I wasn't there. I'm looking at it from a point of view that I will never be able to understand theirs. So yeah, why I hate Bane? Because I think it came out as a trash character. It was pretty much a hyped up, overhyped character instead of creating a story with the creative characters you already had. Same thing with Superman. So, but I don't fucking care about how somebody who wasn't there.
Here's the counterpoint.
That's not even counterpoint. There's no counterpoint to it.
Here's the counterpoint.
There's no counterpoint.
You do Death of Superman or Breaking Batman with you do that with Brainiac. You do that with Joker or whatever. That's lame because they've been around for decades. You want to have the hero defeated. You have to build the villain from the ground up as the one who defeats him.
They didn't do that. That storyline was like it was a manufactured to both of those storylines. Doomsday came out of nowhere and killed.
That's my point.
Superman was dead.
The one who defeats the hero should be the one who comes out of nowhere.
That's not a counterpoint because you have no ground to stand on to make your point. Because the ground to be stood on was in 1992, 1993, 1994.
Who's going to be
if you weren't standing on that ground dealing with this shit, then you have no point. You have an opinion. Which is fine.
Yeah, and that's the point. Is like,
but no, I don't want to see. To go back to the original question, no, I think that would be an absolute downgrade to have him play that character. If you had two characters, Ra's al Ghul versus Bane, and I'm Dave Bautista's agent, there's no way. I'm like, Dave, you got to do Ra's al Ghul. You got to do Ra's al Ghul. You've said this before. I don't.
Yeah,
Hugo Strange. I would definitely take that over Bane, but I wouldn't take that over Ra's al Ghul. No, and give me a good Talia, by the way. You gave me a good one. Give me a good Talia that's actually written well because that.
Dave Bautista's Sinestro.
I could see Dave Bautista's Sinestro.
Yeah, I mean he's clearly tolerate the makeup. The long makeup application. Although probably. It's kind of moving to the point now. Probably they just do the thing where they put the dots on your face.
And Kilowog would be completely CGI. I mean, he could play that character.
You're just voicing the character at that point. That's what like Michael Clark Duncan did. That was actually pretty good casting. Michael Clark Duncan as Kilowog, and who was the voice Tomare? Jeffrey Rush. Those are good casting choices for Tomare and Kilowog. Are we going to see them on Lanterns? Have they confirmed whether they're on Lanterns or not?
They have not, but that doesn't mean we only ones I know are the two main ones, and Guy Gardner's going to be.
I guess Sinestro going to be in Lanterns.
I think so, yeah, because he's casted. Here's the thing, though, Dork. I mean, there's a lot of Middle Eastern characters that have been masterly played by people who are not Middle Eastern. If a Middle Eastern actor outperforms and outreads and out auditions everybody else, then give them the role. But if I get somebody who comes in and passes for Middle Eastern, and so if I get a Middle Eastern person that comes in, and I get a person from Belize, let's say Belize, I'm just throwing that out there, South America, somewhere like that. And the person from South America who could pass for Middle Eastern does a better job auditioning and connecting to what I want, what I'm envisioning in the character than the person that's from the Middle East. That's what I'm going to go for. I'm going for the best performer that's passable. Let's see, CGI arms for the people, Bane. Yeah, and that. Oh yeah. Oh, listen. There's not much, in my opinion, that was going to save The Dark Knight Rises, but man, he makes that movie worse. The Dark Knight Rises. I don't like that movie.
Give it back to
He
you.
he. Tom Hardy, who's one of the best actors in his generation, actually makes that movie worse every time he's on the screen. Every time he's on the screen, it's a joke. The only scene he's any good in is that first scene with the airplane, because that was cool, be honest with you. But the rest of that movie, he makes the movie worse. And Talia, dude, Marion Cotillard is an excellent actress. Go see Public Enemies if you don't believe me. Because the one she won an Academy Award for, nobody saw that. But she's been in some good stuff, and she's really, 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 really good. She's awful in The Dark Knight Rises. She's fucking awful in The Dark Knight Rises. So that movie basically it had a reverse effect. You had all that talent, but that movie was like kryptonite to them. So yeah, let's see. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, please like, subscribe, share. Dave Bautista, Sinestro. Yeah, I could see that. Tom Hardy as Destro. I could see. I could see Dave Bautista as Destro.
At one point, he was going to be Rick Flag in the first Suicide Squad, and I think what happened there was the Revenant ran over schedule, so he had to pull out of that, and then that's when Joel Kinnaman came in.
That would be. I would like to see him play a bigger role than because Jim Gordon is not a feature role, but he could play that. These are the roles where, like I said, I think he's getting better. No, and like I said, this is my opinion of it. There are people from that era that may think differently, but maybe it's because I saw what storylines like that did. It was like heroin. It was like heroin. Yeah, a whole bunch of people were feeling good, until you weren't.
I mean, he's not wrong. He damn sure ain't wrong.
Clubber Lang was credible because you were watching a human on a screen.
I'd say he's more Ivan Drago, and even though he's killing Apollo, but
when he's roided up. When you're talking about Rocky, who by the time Rocky 4 came out had only been a character for 8 years, and you're comparing him to Batman, who by the time Nightfall happened had literally had 60 some odd years of rogue galaxies, a lot of whom have needed to be used a lot more. Dude, I'm sorry, but I don't care how long Brainiac's been around. That's probably one of the underused master villains out there. Brainiac is capable of creating a situation where Superman can die, and he's capable of doing it in a much interesting story. I don't need some fucking meathead, that you retcon. How many times has there retcon Doomsday's injury in the books? And then he's fighting Darkseid. I'm okay. What the fuck? Get him off my page.
Keep him on mine.
Yeah, like I said, the people that help kill the market, the comic book market. Yeah, let's keep providing them with great stories.
Keep them on.
I
can see that. Yeah. Again, all these. It's a good thing he did Drax first, because all these ones you're suggesting, guys, is like these require extensive makeup jobs.
Was Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern more like Kyle Rayner or Lantern? He was neither like one of them. That's one of the worst superhero castings I've ever watched. That's one of the absolute worst superhero castings I've ever. But the movie wasn't good anyway. But partially, I could never believe him as Green Lantern. I don't know who he was playing. I don't know what Green Lantern that was. I know it was called Hal Jordan, but that movie didn't work on a lot of levels, and he's one of them. And I like Ryan Reynolds. Let's see. No, it wasn't. Because we all knew it was coming, because you only throw him in the movie to do so. Just like you only put whatever Back was calling that Doomsday. I don't think he even said that to me. You only put him in the movie to do that. So it was like, okay, what are we doing here? So no, that wasn't cool, because it was predictable. Oh wow, I wonder what Brain's gonna do for his coup de grace. I wonder what Tom Hardy's
that
gonna
awesome
do.
thing that we've been waiting decades to see on.
I was not fucking waiting decades for that. You fucking kids who weren't around when that story sucked were waiting for that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
waiting for it, and I loved it.
Yeah, 8-year-old you really comprehended that story.
Damn right I did. Just like with Death Superman. Brainiac could never do a backbreak like that.
Like I said, I this is why comics went through a tough spot. Because all these people who hype up these storylines, where the fuck were you guys from 1993 to 1999 when both companies almost went out of business? When both of these companies,
Well, did they go out of business?
when both of these companies that put
No,
these
they didn't.
storylines out, the only reason why one didn't go out of business is because nobody was wanted to purchase them for any decent price. And the other one didn't go out of business because Warner Brothers figured, okay, you're losing money, you're a tax write-off for now. So let's see, J.K. Simmons, Commissioner Gordon, you already asked that. I mean, I don't think you're going to see him as Commissioner Gordon in that story because he's already been one in another one. And
well, they kind of tried to do that with Batgirl, and that
okay, Enema, the bronze and brain of him.
He's
the bronze and brain of him. All they did was try to match Batman. That's all they did. There was no organic story there. They just created a character. Oh, Batman's of the physical peak. Oh, we'll make a guy who just, no matter what Batman was, we were going to fabricate this bullshit character to be stronger than him. No matter how smart Batman is, when it's smartest man in the world, we're going to manufacture this bullshit character to be smarter than him. Yeah. That was real fucking creative. The 90s got what it deserved. Unfortunately, I got caught up in that shit. You fucking millennials and whatever can, like I said, look past on that and in some great revisionist history. I did not have the luxury of so. No, Bane's a master strategist and able to break the back. That's because that's how he was written. Look at how Scott Snyder's writing him. That's how he should have been written. And I could make Brad the most, formidable villain in the world. If I write him that way, I can make him a fucking dweeb if I write him that way.
I'm already the most formidable villain in the world, so
sure, right? So I can make Brad able to take on, a room full of 30 master art, because if I write him, because no matter how capable with someone is on the other side, I'm going to just write Brad as one step better because I'm trying to make a storyline where I want to match. But I got other people here that could do that same thing. I got other people that can do the same thing.
They're not being introduced.
It ended up being lamed anyway, so forget it.
You got to introduce.
First of all,
ground up.
You're not convincing me that Bane's worth. If you think Bane's a worthwhile character, my 40 years of collecting says no to me. That's not changing from a chat. Sorry, this is not. I don't like stories that way. I grew up when comic books were really good. When they were really selling because of the story. They weren't selling because of the headline. See, I'm sorry for you guys. You came up in a different era. I don't think you're dumber than me or anything like that, but your beginnings came up with shit like this, and I'm sorry for you. I got in to Daredevil because it was the cover got me in, and then the story kept me then. Right? I got into X-Men because the covers got me in and the stories kept me in. Chris Claremont and John Byrne created a lot of characters, but they created characters that moved the story along. But they didn't recreate, they didn't reinvent the wheel just to get, some speculator off the street to come in and flood the market. They were writing stories to keep you compelled forever, for the long run. That's why they stayed on those books so long. That's why Frank Miller was able to come back to Daredevil for a second stint and create compelling storylines. He created characters, sure, but the main character was Daredevil. He didn't create the Kingpin. Daredevil, when Frank Miller came along, Daredevil needed a cerebral enemy to test him on every level, strategically, legally, every level. They didn't fucking squat down and shit one. They used one that had been around for a few decades.
Yeah, let's introduce one from the ground up.
I'm still talking.
From the ground up.
That's where I come from. Now, if you guys come from a different place, I can respect that. But stop trying to feed me this bullshit that this character was anything more than a media cash grab, in a media cash grab story, in an era that had too many of those and ended the way it did. I'm legitimately giving you legitimate stories that worked without having to do any of that hotshot bullshit. I just gave you a character that was literally pulled from another book. Frank Miller didn't create, he needed the guy to do everything that you're saying that Doomsday posed to Superman, and that Bane posed to the Kingpin, posed all of that and more, and was a better character. Frank Miller didn't have to fucking create a character to do that. David Michelinie, all the ones who made these stories work did not have to do that kind of shit to get people to read their books. But once you had Death of Superman, the greedy corporations were like, oh man, you mean I can get Johnny No Name, who will buy 2 comics in his whole fucking life, to get in here and possibly buy this? Wow, let's do it. That was not the mentality that built that industry. So yeah, that's why.
Aaron, you got us 90s kids grew up on stories like Death of Superman, Lois and Clark's Wedding, which by the way played a role in the creation of Death of Superman, the Clone Saga, Spider-Man, DC versus Marvel. Yeah, and this is where my perspective on this comes from. It's like if we're doing a story like that with that character, that villain should be defined from the ground up as the one to defeat the hero.
So
and you can't do that with a character who's been around for
decades.
You
can. Frank Miller did it.
Character.
I just gave you an excellent example of Frank Miller. He did it.
Yeah, so we should do it with a different one now. Do with somebody else.
Okay, listen. There's a lot of people that figured out fucking Batman's identity, so that's not a big deal there. So
moot point calling it a secret identity.
Yeah, I mean, Ra's al Ghul knew it. He didn't even. He just figured it out because he was that smart. And most of these people who figured out his identity want to keep it between those two anyway. Even all these people who would ever know it is like they're not going to let the general public know it because that's not the war that they want to fight. Same thing with Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn, when he knew from earlier on who Peter Parker was, but it was their mental chess game that they were playing. See, that's storytelling. See, I think comics are at their worst, and in the 90s was this era. I think comics are at their worst when they're trying to make this spectacle be the top priority. You can have a spectacle, but if it's not supported by a story, if the spectacle comes first, you hurt the industry. And the stuff like this really put a hurting on the industry. If we hate Warner Brothers now, if Warner Brothers didn't own DC in the 90s, there would be no DC. If Sony and all these people didn't start buying up Marvel IPs after what they did to themselves in the 90s, there would be no Marvel. Michael Jackson was going to buy it for $1.5 million, and that was a serious offer. That's where we were. And a lot of it is because a lot of the long timers had left comics, and you got people that were coming in, the Exo Man of War, the Valiant generation of let's do everything chromium, and it's got to be, it was a tight era. I never want to relive the 90s when it comes to comics. But like I said, it's really cool to be 20, 30, maybe even 40 years old and look back with a telescope with magical roses and all over it. But yeah, I'm sorry, from where I stood when it was happening, no, fuck that. If you guys I can respect your guys' opinion, but realize my opinion doesn't mean anything. It's not a nothing opinion. And I think I have a little bit of experience in the genre.
You can always start with the spectacle and the follow-up with the story. By the way, here's
you have to do it right, though. Yes, you are 100% right. But you know what? I'm really fucking tired of saying enema on my fucking screen.
Well, I didn't come
I'm just going to start Brad. I'm just going to start Brad the asshole. How about that? But anyway,
that's better than my enema.
Yes, you can. But just like I explained, I don't know if this was after what I said that. Yes, you can, but you have to have the support network there for the story. It can't just be the spectacle. The spectacle can't be the forefront of what you're doing, or else your story rings hollow. If you try to do that, you hurt your story. The spectacle has to be there for the story, not the other way around. The spectacle is not the foundation The story is the foundation. So yeah, you can do this. You can have your cake and eat it too, but you got to know how to make the fucking cake. And a lot of times in the 90s, they didn't do that. They didn't know how to make a cake. They just wanted a hot pocket. Let's see.
My enema is a spectacle, apparently. By the way, guys, on topic of storytelling here, real quick, just another thought I've had in my mind. Say there's a situation going on in New York where this major crime boss is now mayor.
Oh, geez,
And you've got to go take this.
We've
guy
been going for 2 hours. It's time to wrap up the show. You're about to come up with this really, really shitty.
And say you got to take this guy down. Now you need support to do this. It's not like a one-man operation to take this mob boss with now who has political ties. So who's going to be your best asset? You think to do that? Is it going to be homeless people you round up, or is it going to be other people?
Every time you open your mouth, I'm reminded that you don't understand, in my opinion, Daredevil storytelling and what they were trying to tell you there. And it's quite sad. You know what? When you bring this up, it's like the Martha people. It's like, no. It's bullshit. When you bring this up, it's like the Martha thing. The people who don't understand the Martha thing.
No. That's nothing like the
Martha thing. It's the same thing. It's like
the people don't
understand the Martha thing.
No.
You don't understand what was going on there.
That's apples and
that is apples and apples, man.
That's apples.
That is apples and apples. You're thinking in nonsense. And the same thing to people. Oh, what did you say, Martha? Because they don't understand.
It's like we got to bring this big enemy down. Who's going to be the best support group to do that?
With your walnut brain, and you're not the story. It was based on a story. Do you not understand Daredevil? Hold on, wait, guys. Wait, hold on.
So guys,
newsflash, spoiler. Daredevil is based on a comic book story. I don't know, Brad, figured that out yet.
So guys, again, going back to my question, if you got this really powerful with the guy with the or the guy who's pushing.
I need a longer buzzer.
We've already got Jessica Jones in there, and the Punisher too.
I think you're trolling me at this point. So,
well, Aaron's got one here. So, actually, before I read Aaron's, let me read this. I think Tombstone is going to be working with. Yeah, it's like there's been a couple of allusions to who was the speculated villain of Spider-Man 4 or Spider-Man Rain
Mr. Black, Mr. Negative.
Mr. Negative.
Yeah, I don't know where people got that from.
Yeah, so Tombstone is that like a rumor? Or
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
I haven't been paying too much attention to the Spider-Man story because every time I see something new from it, it's like, oh fuck. I mean, I'm waiting for them to just go ahead and have a poster. Though you remember back in the 80s? I don't know if you guys remember them. Back in the 80s, you could buy these every year. You could buy a Marvel Universe poster, and it had everyone on it, and it had everyone. You could get in, zoom in close to see the characters. I'm waiting for them to just release that poster and say, you know what, fuck it. We're done with these dribs and drabs announcements. Everybody in the Marvel Universe is in Spider-Man.
My only thing with the Hulk is I just hope he's better than the Hulk we've had in the last couple movies.
Well, he's not going to be. I think he's probably just going to be the Professor. I'm guessing he's the Professor.
No.
He's going to be Professor Hulk. Hey, Peter, let me give you some advice.
Let me be your mentor again, please.
Let me be your mentor, Peter, because you never had a mentor in the MCU. We haven't driven that horse into the ground.
We need pissed off Hulk again. I'm sorry.
And I don't know what the Punisher's going to do. I saw some of the,
Yeah,
what are we doing? We're gonna, but that was from his special. What are we doing? What are we doing with the Punisher? And he's going to be PG-13. What the fudge are you doing? Fudge you. What are we doing? What are we doing? We're going to kill people?
It's going to be a box office juggernaut just on the power of Spider-Man alone.
Yeah, that's all it needs to be.
Yeah, this could not have this could have Spider-Man it could be entirely. This could have, especially after No Way Home, this could be strictly no other heroes of Spider-Man would still do very well.
Now, Punisher ever did something after this might be bigger, but people listen. For a lot of people, they're not watching the Disney Plus show, and they're not watching. They didn't watch the Netflix show. So I like John Bernthal's Punisher. I just don't need to see him truncated, and I don't need to see all these fucking people in the movie.
No, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, Peter, see, here's how you hold the trigger. All right, you only squeeze, you only aim it at something you're gonna kill, kid. And fuck everybody else. Oh no, I'm sorry. Fudge everybody else.
I'm sure if we're gonna pick mentors, he should definitely not be one of Spider-Man's mentors or anybody else's.
And listen, Webhead, when you stab them several times. Make sure they're dead. Yeah, he might try to, and Peter be like horrified, like, "Oh my god, this guy's a murderer."
Well, I mean, what that is, I mean, they do butt heads whenever they team up.
Yeah, because he's a killer.
He's a flagrant killer. It's not to say he takes lives.
And I'm sorry, I've grown up reading Punisher comic books, and I promise you, the John Bernthal Punisher is far more violent and far more brutal in that show than he ever was in the comic books. Maybe just because I'm watching it happen in full motion, but when the Punisher is killing people, that bar scene where all those people die. I mean, there's a couple of scenes where he just kills. There are people that don't need to die. Punisher kills them anyway. Fuck him. He doesn't like cops. Kills some cops. Yeah, he really doesn't. But,
well, if we made it this far with Tom Holland, it's still it's crazy to me. It's like they've managed to not only never show Uncle Ben, but I don't think they even mentioned it by name so far. So they've just kind of alluded to like, yeah,
she just saying your uncle or whatever.
Yeah, uncle's like, the tragedy from a few years ago and like something about responsibility, and that's kind of it. So
yeah, I remember Night's End.
And so that's why I always kind of speculated from that they were kind of like having Tony Stark and Aunt May. They were both kind of filling the Uncle Ben role, for Tom Holland Spider-Man. That pretty much ended up being this case.
In the Punisher miniseries, they implied that he did. In the Mike Zeck miniseries from 1985, because the Punisher he goes into the prison and he's in there with Jigsaw, and Jigsaw is trying to hire henchmen to kill him because of what he did to him.
And see, that's something I wasn't quite as impressed with in season 2 of Punisher. Was they had him season 2 times live action. He was in Punisher Warzone, and he was in season 2 of the Punisher. And I'm sorry, his look
he was not good in either.
But his look is way better. Is way more Jigsaw-like in Punisher Warzone, because he's got like
a movie budget too.
Well, he's got like a couple of cuts here and there. That's kind of it. So it's like it's not that the performance is bad. It's just that it's like really, it's like that's all. That's as far as you're gonna go. And Punisher doesn't have because he kills everybody he runs into. It's like he doesn't have he doesn't have like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, where he has like a regular like rotating, rogues gallery of villains. I mean, it's like Jigsaw's. I mean, William, correct me if I'm wrong, Jigsaw's kind of it as far as like his regular like arch nemesis.
Yeah. Okay. Fictional character. Because I know they retconned him too. Okay. Punisher tracks Russo, because that's his real name, down to a Magia, because that's a crime family he used to work on. He guns down all of Russo's men, but leaves him alive to send a message to organized crime after knocking him through a glass window pane, an act that reduces Russo's face to a Jigsaw puzzle mess star. Yeah, so it was Punisher that did it in the comics. I was wondering if they retconned him, so I don't think they retconned. Because I remember, because if you read the Punisher miniseries, which is an awesome miniseries, by the way, that led to the Punisher long-term series. He's in prison with Jigsaw, and Jigsaw is trying to get revenge on him, and of course that works out exactly how you think it does. I don't think John Bernthal doesn't go far enough, because Punisher Max is way more. No. He does some sadistic shit in Punisher Max, but he doesn't do the. I'm sorry, man. I think I think he's much more brutal in this than he was. Because, like I said, I think it's because I'm seeing it unfold before my very eyes. When you're watching it when you're looking at it on a comic panel, I think the violence bleeds out differently. But when you're seeing him do it up close and close range killing that he does in these shows, yeah, I think it's much graphic, more graphic. Let's see. All right, guys. I think that's it. I think we went way over.
Yeah, I think we covered it all.
We went down this Bane. Stop asking me about Bane and Death of Superman. Like, we're not banning those topics, damn it. That's like to add it like fucking 20 minutes to this show. Didn't need to be added. God damn it. Anyway, but it didn't matter because it was a free for all. Tomorrow, like I said, don't know. I don't think nothing's premiering, nothing's happening tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess whatever news you get, it's gonna be, not something we're anticipating.
Oh, by the way, rest in peace, Lonnie Anderson.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to put anything up.
Yeah, this year, please, 25. Please stop.
It's like 2016 all over again.
Yeah.
And unless you're Mel Brooks and you're just going to live to 200.
Which are we? And it's also interesting you mention that because I just had one go up on Comic Book too, where I talked about Hulk Hogan, and I mentioned like it was like talking about okay.
By the way, you people are awful to Hulk Hogan. My God damn. It's like I saw one meme. It's hot down here, brother. I'm like, wow, man.
What comic?
Hulk Hogan. No, there was a meme about Hulk Hogan, and it's just him saying, "It's hot down here, brother."
I'm
like, wow, dude.
Yeah, well, I had the one I had go live was speculating about okay, like the biopic that got canceled, like will that be revived now? That
like that. Tarantino will do it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that was pretty far along too. I mean that, I mean that was like Chris Hemsworth and I think Ben Affleck even.
I remember that. Yep.
At one point we're attached, and then of course the shit hit the fan with like, Well, in the article I go into like reasons why like the funny didn't happen, but Hulk Hogan of course had controversies in the last couple of years.
Yeah. All right, for those of you who are never going to, Brad will never know this reference. Brad's a fucking was as I got when this came out. I swear to God, as my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. The funniest line in all of the sitcom, the Great Turkey Drop, WKRP in Cincinnati. The show was already off the air. I think before I understood what it was, but I think there's a couple of different occasions where the old man laughed so hard it shook the fucking house. This one was one of them. There's memes, and every Thanksgiving you see a meme, and most of the people who see the meme don't know what it is. But it's from WKRP Cincinnati, the Great Turkey Drop of 1970, whatever. And it's hilarious because he fucking truly believed that those turkeys could fly. And I'm dying watching it with the old man, maybe because he was laughing. But yeah, you have to be pretty old. WKRP in Cincinnati was actually Howard Hessman was in it. Lonnie Anderson was in it. There's a couple people that are still alive that are in it. But yeah, they're all approaching their 80s, the ones that are still around. So. You're trolling me, but okay. Slipknot. I'm sorry. I think John Barenthal. Once you see John Barenthal as Punisher, everybody else is just playing a guy.
Ray Stevenson, that's the thing. He went on.
Yeah, you would be. This would be for your. Yeah.
He went on to be Volstagg in the Thor movies, and that I don't know. That didn't. He got to show a lot more what he could do as Punisher than because Volstagg was a lot more in the background. Like all the Warriors 3, they were just kind of there.
Thomas Jane and Ray Stevenson played excellent dudes wearing armor and having guns and shooting people.
We need to do a watch party of Warzone because I freaking love Punisher Warzone.
John Barenthal played the Punisher. Those guys played really good, whatever those are supposed to be. John Barenthal played the Punisher. And he's the only live action Punisher I've seen. I've seen two other dudes do a really good job at something. But John Barenthal is the Punisher, and it's not even close. It's almost like out of respect for Ray Stevens, rest in peace, and Thomas Jane, you shouldn't even put them in the category once you've seen John Barenthal. It's not fair. It's not fair because it's like they're being asked to play basic, vigilante type thing from a basic vigilante formula, and he was directed to play the Punisher. So yeah, it's not the same, but All right, yeah, you never heard of that. Aaron, you're what, 37? You're 1 year younger than Brad. Brad, you're what, 38?
Yep.
I still can't believe Aaron is 1 year younger than you. She's got that baby face.
I've had people tell me they think I'm about 25.
I don't know if I'd go for that. But Aaron, like I said, when she goes to get her foster, they're like, "Where's the ID?
Yeah.
Where's the ID?"
Oh, and just as we're wrapping up, how's it going, Anthony?
Dolph Lundgren just played another guy who played a vigilante.
He didn't
and
have. He didn't even have a skull.
He had a little knife with a cute
Knife
little
with-
scroll on it. It was so cute. And as a Punisher fan, that's like, it wasn't as bad as Howard the Duck because it wasn't a bad movie.
Well, that's hard to.
But
Yeah.
it's the Punisher. I want to see Frank Castle. I want to see Klaus Janson and Larry Hama took Punisher, and Jim Lee. All these people took Punisher to a different level. And then you see that movie. It's like you're just going through the motions. It's just going through the motions. Like I said, John Bernthal is the first. It's the only live action Punisher. It's the only live action Punisher. Yeah, the great Turkey John. Hey, ACS was old enough. Yeah, if you're in your 60s like he is, you probably watched it while it was on the Air Force Run. Probably watched it at a 1970s gym. When you turned 39. What got me was Hogan was cremated today. Even in death, Hulk Hogan wouldn't be buried. Oh, ha ha! Got you. I got you.
People are, man, yeah, you're right. People turned on Hulk Hogan after those tapes came out.
Well, yeah, and like I said, Black Folks is like
because like I've said on here, it's like I'm not the pro wrestling like expert that like William and Aaron are, but I mean, it's like I've seen, Hulk Hogan was like big enough in his heyday.
Yeah,
it's like,
he was like,
yeah, he was everywhere. It's like even if you were on the periphery, it's like you knew who wasn't. When I was like 4 years old, I mean, all my friends they were playing with like Hulk Hogan action figures. They had pro wrestling. He's on TV all the time. I go to.
Before that, he was on Rocky, which was one of the biggest movies of that year. And then he was then he was on MTV right after that. Everybody knew who Hulk Hogan was.
Three Ninjas movie too.
Yeah, I mean, he was in some bad movies, but he was a larger
Suburban Commando.
I mean, No Holds Barred was a horrible movie, but he flocked to the theaters to see it because of him. And when you're a little black kid, you don't, especially if you're being raised in the city, you don't realize the kind of racism. You're not at that level yet. And when you hear him say that, it's like, wow, that's a punch right in the dick, man.
The Three Ninjas movie, he was actually in that with Lonnie Anderson. Like he was one of the good guys. He was the bad guy in it. Yeah, Mr. Mom. Again, it's probably other than Rocky 3, it's like probably his most memorable one. I would say is Suburban Commando, because it's stupid, but it's hilarious. I was frozen today.
No Holds Barred was terrible, but it was at the height. It was at the height of Hulkamania, and all you need to do is throw him on the screen, and we were going to go see it. I went to go see that movie. It's a horrible movie. I knew it was horrible as a 14-year-old, but it was like, it's Hulk Hogan, man. We wanted to be everywhere he was.
It really wasn't until The Rock that like pro wrestlers like started like really successfully transitioning from pro wrestling to movies.
And The Rock would have had even Rock, a person of color, had to understand. Like, you can listen, you are right to hate him for the human he was, but he inadvertently or inadvertently created a path for The Rock.
And he acknowledged that, like he was one of the people who put out, like a lot of pro wrestlers, like including many non-white pro wrestlers, put out condolences for
rest in power. I mean, all that you can be two truths. Like I said, without Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon, another individual that there's been some issues. Without those two individuals coming together and utilizing and using each other and exploiting each other. It's left up
others.
It's left up to Ric Flair, but Ric Flair was in the NWA. Well, he wasn't in the big, he was world renowned, but not on the level that Hulk Hogan, not on the level that Ric Flair deserved to be in hindsight. But, with Vince McMahon buying up the territories, having the MTV connections, having the cartoon connections, without Hulk Hogan, we never, all these pay-per-views, WrestleMania was built around Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was in the main event in WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Actually, was he in the main event in 6? No, he was the main event in 6. In 6, it was Mr. T and Hulk Hogan WrestleMania 1. It was, I think, WrestleMania 2 was King Kong Bundy and Hulk Hogan. WrestleMania 3 was Andre the Giant. WrestleMania 4 was the tournament. He wasn't in the main event, but he altered the main event because it was Macho Man versus Ted DiBiase. He hit him on the back of the chair. But still, the show was built around Hulk Hogan. WrestleMania 5, it was him versus Macho Man. WrestleMania 6 was him versus the Ultimate Warrior. I don't think he was out of the main event until WrestleMania 7. So you're talking the show, and while all that was happening, no, he was in the WrestleMania 7 main event against Sergeant Slaughter. So the first 7, 8, Sid Vicious, WrestleMania 8. WrestleMania 9, it's Hulk Hogan versus it was what wasn't supposed to be Hulk Hogan in the main event. It was Yokozuna versus Bret Hart, but Hulk Hogan made some noise. You heard up. Hulk Hogan ended up defeating Yokozuna for the title. So he was in basically the first 9 WrestleManias. They built that industry around him. Who was the main event of the one following that? Let's see. So it was Bret Hart defeated Yokozuna. So it was the next year. So it wasn't until 1994 when Hogan had left for WCW that he was not either in or around the WrestleMania. He was building SummerSlam. He was building the Royal Rumble. They built all the pay-per-view structure. All that shit was built around Hulk Hogan. And then when they thought they had used him up, he comes over into WCW, has a decent run there, and with the NWO, changed the game when nobody thought wrestling was at a down point when Hulk Hogan went heel. The NWO is probably one of the most important storylines of all time. So you got a guy who twice over created a lot of jobs and a lot of money for people. Even if you hated the guy, you're probably performing on a platform. If you were in WCW from 1996 to 2001, you were there making money that Hulk Hogan brought to you. All right, it's just the same. Racist, yeah. Misogynist, pig, scheming fucker, yeah. Say it all. But like I said, he was the shit. He's why we had these things. I'll put the camel clutch on you. Yeah. The Iron Sheik did not get to live to see Hulk Hogan back because he just said the same thing he said all those years on Twitter. Fuck to Hulk Hogan. The exact words and the exact. She had some fun yesterday. Okay, would you high too, Anthony? You can't be high at the gym. Yeah. But once that you got to be careful with those quarters. He was he was literally wrestling for 2 decades. So. Yes, you are correct. He patterned himself, and then Scott Steiner did the same thing. Yes, he patterned himself after that. But you can't. Billy Graham was never on the level of Hulk Hogan. You can pattern yourself up to somebody, but you can take it to a level that person you patterned it from could never take it to. So, that's also true. All right, guys, we can go into this rabbit hole forever. Like, subscribe. Spread the word, all the videos and stuff, and I will see you on Tuesday unless something erupts, and hopefully it's not somebody dying. Hopefully, if I'm on Monday night, it's because the drugs that hit me wild, the Benadryl, which I'll probably go back on now because the pregnant zone cleared me up. My eyes aren't swollen anymore. I can't tell you that there might not be a Benadryl stream at some weird ass point in the night, but it'll probably be on Tuesday morning. So technically, we wouldn't be streaming. But join me. Those are always crazy. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a good beginning of your week, and we'll see you later.
See you guys.